The Hagmann and Hagmann report for today. It is Wednesday, July 15th, 2015. We're coming to you live from the studios of the Hagmann and Hagmann report here, based in Northwest Pennsylvania, beautiful Northwest Pennsylvania, as a matter of fact. I'm Doug Hagmann at the helm, a fellow investigator, researcher, and most importantly, myself, Joe Hagmann. Together, we are the Hagmann and Hagmann report, America's premier father-son investigative reporting team. If you're wondering why I'm struggling, it's last minute to get to the studio booth here. I got to tell you, man, just did a couple of jumps over some desks, a file cabinet, and I think Joe, too. I'm not sure. Anyway, folks, it's our job to bring you the news that propels the headlines, the news that's shaped and twisted amid a funhouse of smoke and mirrors and the carnival we call the corporate media. We're glad to be able to do the headline and news triage so you don't have to. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for deliberately listening to our program, purposely tuning into us from all over the world. For new listeners, of course, just want to remind you that our time, broadcast time, is 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern, and our home base on the internet is HagmannandHagmann.com. If you would just bookmark that website from there, you can catch us. We're linked there live. You can listen to us live from that website, as well as our past shows through the RSS feed. And, of course, you can access all of our social networking sites as well. I want to, again, just say thank you, gratefully thank you for everyone who's written to us and talking about the shows, last night's show especially, with Tim Alberino, Steve Quayle, and the first hour, Ross Powell. My goodness, what an incredible program last night. In fact, information-filled beyond belief. So I want to thank you for all of your positive feedback tonight. We had a great show tonight. You know her as the Weekend Vigilante. Sheila Zilinsky here is coming up momentarily. Before we get into the program, I just want to remind everyone that tonight's broadcast is sponsored by NatureBox. NatureBox, they ship great tasting and guilt-free snacks right to your door. They've got over 100 flavors to choose from. And all of their snacks, they're made with integrity. They please the palate. They got some of the best flavor combinations. I mean, just think, chocolate banana chips. I mean, how can you possibly go wrong with that? Oh, or the sweet and salty nut medley, just as good. Many Belgian waffles and many other snacks as well. I could name them all. I could eat them all, actually. So, folks, go to NatureBox. Try NatureBox for free by going to naturebox.com/CFPradio. That's naturebox.com/CFPradio or HagmannandHagmann.com. The bottom left there is a link to NatureBox, and it'll take you to our little world there. So try them out. Do it today, too. Joe, it's great to have you.
Great to be here. Looking forward to tonight's show. As you said, we had Sheila Zilinsky with us, and she is on air now, and she's come on to talk about her new book.
Yeah.
And among some other things. Sheila, it's great to have you back on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hey, you guys, it's great to be back on the program.
Wow. Well, you know, it seems like it's been a while. You've been busy, haven't you?
I've been a little bit busy, yes. Well, you guys were on my show about a month ago, and that was really fun because we got to do some interaction again because I missed my old buddies.
Well, yeah, we miss you too. I mean, is time speeding up, Sheila? I mean, seriously, it just seems like, I don't know. It just seems like time is speeding up, and it's a day goes by, and then two, and then all of a sudden a week is gone, and it's like, my goodness, you know. So it seems like a long time since we last spoke, but man, yeah, it's great to have you on. And when I heard about your book, I knew, you know something before the title was even uttered and the subject matter was even uttered, I knew what it was going to be about. So I'm just so glad that you broke out the pen and wrote the book. And of course, Steve Quayle's talking about it. And man, that's just great. So I'm glad you put your incredible analysis to words in a book.
We lost you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I heard a kind of I don't know, it was like a ding almost in my headset. I don't know if you heard that.
All right, we got you back.
All right, there we go. Sheila, are you there?
Hey, you guys, I just got disconnected. Sorry. Just so your listeners know, Yesterday my website was hit. Today again it was hit, and I guess when people were going to my website, they literally could get into the back of my WordPress site. Can you imagine? So they could, pretty much change anything. So it's just been a couple days of real strange stuff, and I notice I've got some guys that are working out on my phone line, and I haven't had, my mic has gone off and on all day, and then I asked those guys what they were doing, and the guy goes, oh, we're upgrading the fiber optics, right? So, call me paranoid, but sometimes I wonder.
It just never ceases to amaze me, the things that we have go on here electronically. It's ordinarily, I would say, things happen. I mean, but man, lately it just seems like things have really. There are certain things you just cannot explain through normal. Like yesterday, as a matter of fact, when we had Steve and Tim Alberino on, our phones just were slammed. Our boards were slammed with this denial of service attack. Is the best way I could describe it, and we just lost everything in for like 2 minutes. So it's really getting blatant, I believe. Sheila, did we lose you again?
She's on.
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's been incredible. And again, Steve and Tim were actually on my show today, and then this was the most amazing thing. We were literally couldn't even go live until exactly 1 minute before my show. For some reason, everything just kind of came on, and then it got hit. I don't know how I managed to salvage it for the hour while they were on the program. I have no idea, just by the grace of God, I guess. But no, I had no internet almost all day. I had no website. Everybody was emailing me saying, by the way, when I click on your site, do you know I'm going to the back of your WordPress site? And I'm just thinking, oh, that's wonderful. I mean, that could have been very, if the wrong person got a hold of that, that's very nefarious, right? So yeah. I thought, you know what, it's just time to kick up the security measures, I think, because we're all getting attacked and hacked and tracked. And so, I mean, we kind of, that kind of is par for the course, though, isn't it, Doug?
It is. I have a business associate that I ran into today who I shouldn't say railed into me, but was a little bit peeved. He said, why don't you return my calls? I called you twice this week, Monday and Tuesday. And it's about something urgent. And I looked at my phone, no record of any phone call. I said, you sure you dialed the right number? And he showed me on his phone where I'm programmed in. So, I mean, things are really weird, It's hard to deny at this point that they're playing games. And I mean, I know that people may not believe the severity, but it's getting pretty blatant out there. Sheila, what are you there, kiddo?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. We're getting some really some interesting tones on at least through my headsets. I'm not sure, Joe, what's going on with you. All right, Sheila. Well, where do we start here? You've got your new book pre-order. You can pre-order your new book. What's it all about? What's
the Green Gospel?
Yeah, well, it's such an interesting question, Doug. Well, as you and Joe know, I'm pretty passionate about the whole green agenda. I was almost a deputy minister of Ministry of Environment. So I was pretty high up for years, and I was kind of climbing the corporate ladder when suddenly in 2005 I discovered some very confidential information that really had me start speaking out against the anthropogenic global warming, which anthropogenic just means man-made, fancy word for man-made global warming. So I started speaking about it then, and of course, I don't know if a lot of your listeners know this, Doug, but I just started making a lot of connections to, my mother was given a Tamiflu vaccination in 2009, and it's the same drug company, GlaxoSmithKline, that created another drug that actually killed my brother just a couple years before that. They put him on a test drug, and he died 3 days later. Well, my mom was given a vaccination during that H1N1 scare, and it made her, in 48 hours, she was a full-blown quadriplegic. She currently lives on a life support machine. She never moved her body again. She was kind of like Christopher Reeve, Superman, sitting in the whole, Yeah, so that happened by this company, and so I tried to go after this company, and I realized no lawyers would touch it with a 10-foot pole. So I thought, there's something very nefarious here, and then they lost, the dog ate my mother's medical records, right, wink, wink. So I sequestered their medical records. They couldn't find them. So I started knowing there was something really not right going on at Big Pharma back then, too, and so I started connecting some dots between these people that were on the boards. The very people that were on the board of this company were also in bed with Al Gore and his huckster friends. So I thought, this is going to take some research. So for a full year, I researched it. And that's when I just went gung-ho into radio after that, Doug. And so that's how I got here today. So the book is called Green Gospel, The New World Religion, because environmental really has become a new religion for a new age. It has become like a religion. These greenies, they're running around saving the planet, Doug, and it's a pagan death cult is what it is. They're running around driving their little smart cars and they're saving the planet, but they don't really understand what this is all about. So what my book really gets into the very tentacles, I connect the green dots, if you will, on how this started, how it emerged, where we're at today with it, and what they want in this very insidious agenda.
Well, how did this green agenda start?
Yeah, and that's I didn't mean to kind of jump in here, but I really want to know. I'm a great believer in looking back at history, pinpointing the start of something, and then being able to look at and identify the people responsible, the players, and developing the agenda. And I know you've done this. So to echo Joe's question, I suppose I really didn't need to say that, but to echo his question. Yeah, how did it start? Where did it start? Who do we point the fingers at? What and really what's the end game objective here?
Well, the end game is probably three things. The end game is global governance, eradicating Christianity, and a one world system. And there's other little nefarious parts of that too, but those are sort of the three biggest pieces of this. But to answer your question, how did the green agenda really start? It probably really started, Doug and Joe, in Canaan, with the Canaanites and the rest of the various ites. However, in my book, I only mention all the way back to, I just touch on Nimrod. I don't get into the whole historical back to the Canaanites or Nimrod. I really focus around the time of Reverend Thomas Malthus and Karl Marx, how it got really kicked up a notch there, as well as it got roaring again during the Nazis' rise to power, and then back again where we are today. We're all supposed to live in harmony with nature, with Mother Gaia, look no further than your Starbucks coffee cup, and it's really deeply entrenched in very ancient pagan pantheistic religions, Doug and Joe, that really dominated the Egyptian, the Babylonian, Grecian, and Roman empires. And if you think about it, much of the ancient Israel's plight was, and I mean, let's face it, that's very well documented throughout the Old Testament, was its insatiable thirst for pagan nature worship. This was, of course, in direct violation of the first two commandments of the Mosaic Law, which commanded Israel not to worship any other false god or idol. But, it's like today, Doug and Joe, people are worshiping the creation rather than the creator.
Just like the scripture says, and you're exactly right in what they're doing. It is worshiping the earth, and the Pope we see, now engaging in a green initiative where he is traveling the world promoting a new world order, a new economic and environmental world order. Are you surprised about the partnership of the United Nations, the Pope, or Vatican, and the other NGOs and organizations such as the World Bank in their partnership towards this accomplishing this new world order?
No, I'm not, and that's a good question too. And you got to remember this. I actually wrote a book, a chapter in my book about Pope Francis. I call him the patron green saint of the environment and his green theology, because he really just pulled a stunning move on June 18th when he came out with this big climate ecology encyclical. He's basically saying, listen up, 1.2 billion Catholics on the earth and everybody else to be thrown in the mix with them. You better do it and like it. You guys better bow down to Mother Earth. You have less rights than a rock, you plebs. That's basically what they're saying. And I know people will go, oh, come on, Sheila, that's a little bit harsh. But actually, this is very true. I've heard people with my own ears in this little world when I was working for Environment use the word humans are useless eaters. And if you look at some of these quotes of these people, which we'll get into more later in the show, it is absolutely stunning that people like Prince Philip, who says he'd like to be reincarnated as a deadly virus to come back and wipe out the population. I mean, how did these guys get away with saying that? So springboarding into the Pope Francis, and this is, of course, this is really interesting piece. And this is a guy, of course, as your listeners know, have been running around saying, I'm going to baptize aliens. The aliens are your friends. Atheists are fine to go to heaven. That's really nice. But when I thought it was and Tom Horn covers this, that papal conclave when it was the switch and the unprecedented switch where we saw Benedict step down and Bergoglio step up. And again, this guy's not Pope Francis. His name is George Marian Bergoglio. And he apparently, this is just on record, that he reportedly took his papal title after St. Francis of Assisi of Italy, who was the founder of the Franciscan Order of the Friars Minor. And what's stunning is, like Hitler, St. Francis of Assisi was a very devout nature worshiper to the point of, they might say nature admirer, but I would, take it a little further. But what was stunning is that last year, all the Catholics around the globe had a climate fast. It was a Lenten climate fast, which is, that's bad enough. It's bad enough that. And then all of a sudden, Gina McCarthy from the Environmental Protection Agency, along with John Kerry, are meeting with the Pope. Well, why is John Kerry running around meeting with the Pope? And Gina McCarthy, who's a top bureaucratic person, I mean, what is a top bureaucrat of the Environmental Protection Agency doing running over to Italy meeting with the Pope? And basically her whole thing was, when people questioned her, she said, well, my goal is just to simply show the Vatican how aligned President Barack Obama and Francis are on climate change. And her comment eerily parallels a lot of people. Like take, for example, I heard a quote from the Canadian Environmental Minister, Christine Stewart, who said, you know what, Sheila, it doesn't matter if the science of global warming is all phony. Climate change, think about it, provides the greatest opportunity to bring about justice and equality in the world. And that's what the Pope is, oddly, eerily similar, regurgitating that whole mantra about, well, climate change really provides the greatest opportunity for ecological justice. Isn't that stunning, Doug and Joe?
Not surprising at all. But it's I mean stunning. How many people really understand the breadth of what's going on, the scope of what's going on? You hear bits and pieces. This is really improperly or marginally reported in the mainstream media. This is ridiculous. And I was doing some research from a book, Rockefeller File. And what you're talking about, I mean, the origins of the modern contemporary Earth worship really went into, I think anyway, really went into full force back in the 70s, at least with the contemporary. As we look at this today, with the controls, with the Earth Day establishment, Earth Day and such. I mean, it's just the expediency of the agenda and how quickly things are happening is really breathtaking.
Well, it is, and to take that one step further, I wanted to, just because Joe had asked me about was I surprised about the Pope, what I guess really stunned me in that encyclical is not only, now I don't know when the Pope became a climatologist, Doug and Joe, but he did say that humans are mostly causing global warming. Well, here's the interesting thing is that just before the Pope came out with this climate encyclical, this was quite stunning, and your listeners can actually look this guy up. His name is Schnellhuber, and he is this German, he's basically a big depopulationist guy, and he's a pantheist. Like, why is the Pope hiring his science advisor, his top science advisor, who's a pantheist and a very well-known depopulationist, who says, and it's quoted in the New York Times, we need the population to be just under 1 billion people. Well, what happens to the other 6 billion people? Now, I think I sent Joe a clip, and I would, at some point, I'd love you to play it, because do you have the clip, Joe?
Yeah. I think this would be a good time to play
great.
that.
Because, good old Ted Turner, the founder of CNN, and good old, he just has big cash infusions that he gives to the United Nations. He said some stunning things in this clip. And so, because people go, oh, well, I don't really know about this whole, I don't really think that's true, Sheila. I think that they just want us to be eco-friendly and sustainable. Well, those are words that are thrown around in the Agenda 21 documentation, and that is really the 21st century plan, to have people absolutely bowing down to Mother Gaia, because, again, you should have less rights than a tree. That's what these people think, including Al Gore, who, in his book Earth in the Balance, said the Earth is a living, breathing, sentient being, and us beer-guzzling plebs are basically responsible for her demise, and in order to get rid of, these pesky humans that are causing all this global warming just by breathing out CO2, because, after all, that deadly pollutant, CO2.
Yeah. Well, let's play that clip right now. This is Ted Turner on depopulation.
Not doing it will be catastrophic. We'll have 8 degrees hotter in 30 or 40 years, and basically none of the crops will grow. Most of the people will have died, and the rest of us will be cannibals. Civilization will have broken down. The few people who are left will be living in a failed state like Somalia or Sudan, and living conditions will be intolerable. The droughts will be so bad there'll be no more corn growing. Not doing it is suicide. Just like dropping bombs on each other, nuclear weapons is suicide. So we've got to stop doing the 2 suicidal things, which are hanging on to our nuclear weapons
and global.
And then after that, we've got to stabilize the population. When I was born, there were
what's wrong with the population? I mean,
with too many people. That's why we have global warming. We have global warming because too many people are using too much stuff. But if there were less people, they'd be using less stuff.
There you have it. Too many people.
Those pesky humans.
Too much stuff. Yep. I'll tell you what, it's said a lot, but until he offers himself up first in line, we'll let him just spew his rhetoric there. But this is what these people want. They want the population to be reduced. Ted Turner is the owner of the Georgia Guidestones, maintaining humanity in perpetual balance with nature under 500 million. This is what he states as a goal. So.
Yeah, he wants the population to be between 250 and about 500,000 people. Now, it kind of goes back to what Karl Marx believed, and here's the thing that people don't really understand when you kind of look at history. Doug mentioned he liked looking at history. Well, think about this. Karl Marx, and this guy was a sinister man. He was born in Germany in the 1800s, around the beginning of I think it was 1820 or somewhere around there, and he lived about 70 years, and in which time his twisted mind conceived these atrocious plots to really infect the world with his godless philosophies. He was a self-admitted Satanist. So he kind of fashioned himself as a scientist, and he was coming up with all these crazed, deranged laws of matter that supported what many elitists believe, certainly Ted Turner there, that those with a better brain, they have the responsibility to rule the ones like us, us little inferior brain plebs, because if we're left to our own devices, well, surely we'd kill each other and destroy the planet. So what was really interesting is on Charles Darwin, when he went to the Galapagos Islands, he took a copy of Karl Marx's book on his trip. And, it's really interesting because the paradox of this elitism is it's so entrenched in socialist and communist, but it's also very Marxist. So, we kind of have this triple tier fusion of Marxism. And this is really how demagogues have always operated. They think, they kind of think that us useless plebs or us useless eaters or too many useless eaters, as Ted Turner just said. They want to stir up racial hatred. They want to imply that, people just simply exploited the downtrodden. That's how they got their wealth. That's what the Pope is always talking about, these terrible capitalists in the West, because that guy's he's a total communist Marxist. And it appeals to people's instinctive their passions in all of us. So it's really interesting. So Karl Marx, basically, this Satanist who was promoting all these ideas that were totally anti-capital, I mean, he just would have absolutely salivated at the idea of using pseudo-junk science to convince the unsuspecting, duped public that, CO2, which they breathe out, is actually causing the world to basically blow up. But it's incredible. They've taken the ultimate handle, the very air we breathe, and they've demonized it. And so the EPA got CO2 classified in court as a deadly pollutant, if you can imagine this. So think about what I just said. The court from the EPA, because they took it to court, and they got what you and I breathe out, the very God-given necessary byproduct for human life on this earth, they got it deemed as a pollutant, Doug and Joe.
Huh. Wow. Going to back what Ted Turner said about us being cannibals. Well, let's start with the Earth and Gaia. What is Gaia, and what do these Gaians believe?
Well, the term Gaia has been around for a while. There's other names. People call it Diana. Some people think it's Semiramis. So if people can actually look that up, Gaia, it's Gaia. Now, James Lovelock, he coined this phrase, the Gaia hypothesis. So he was talking about, again, the Earth was a sentient, breathing being that was really, it's a very ancient pagan pantheistic form of, and it's very occultic, but it's very much nature worship at the heart of it. And again, like I said, look no further than your Starbucks cup. Mother Earth, the Earth Goddess Mother, all of it. It's the same thing. It's Gaia. And it's really about the Gaians believe that, like Al Gore said in his book, he said that, again, the Earth is this, and Al Gore is a real, if he is not a pagan, occultic pantheist, I've never seen anything. When I read Earth in the Balance, and I read it twice, Doug and Joe, I literally was stunned. My jaw dropped at what I was reading. And he was calling for a global plan. Now, in the global plan, he calls for depopulation, like his buddy Ted Turner. He calls for a planetary regime, like a world authority. Well, that's just what the Pope has recommended in this pontifical, they released it back in April. The Pontifical Academy of Sciences issued this big, long paper called Climate Change and the Common Good, because there's that term. You got to do it for the common good, the greater good, the moral imperative, right? So they want a planetary regime. And so, Joe, that's a really, astute point that you brought up there. It's all really about this diabolical depopulation scheme.
If I can jump in here and ask you a question. One thing I noticed, and I mentioned earlier about the decade of the 70s, it was that time, and I remember at that time there was talk about, I think Kissinger might have even talked about controlling, if you control the food, you control the population. If you control the energy, you control nations. A big thing about controlling the food and, I suppose the enemy of the creation of a world government, one world government, would be independence, countries' independence on both food and energy. How does this play in today? I mean, there's collusion, obviously, between the energy producers.
Oh, yeah, Doug. Because actually it was Dr. Henry Kissinger also wrote that depopulation should be the highest priority of the U.S. foreign policy, remember? So He basically says things like, in fact, he actually commissioned a very murderous report. It was actually stunning. People can look this up if they type in National Security Study it's a memorandum, and I think it's 200, and it essentially echoes Hitler's word to Lothian by advocating population control, eugenics. This thing is unbelievable. And I have actually, I bring that out in my book, that they talk about national security in the U.S. economy will require large and increasing amounts of, things from less developed countries. So they're kind of almost tying a little bit of the cap and trade piece into this foreign domestic policy toward the third world. But when you really get into the guts of this document, Doug, it's quite shocking. So, you got to remember that this is the same guy. This is, of course, Kissinger. I mean, his hands are in everything. It's unbelievable. Even in 1975, he established this policy planning group in the U.S. State Department's Office of Population Affairs, and he came out with this Global 2000. That was actually a document that Jimmy Carter prepared. And Brzezinski and Kissinger, man, I'll tell you, with ties to, of course, David Rockefeller, they have funded a lot of what we're talking about right now, depopulation, eugenics, and then, of course, Prescott Bush and other members of the Order of the Skull and Bones are strongly tied to funding Hitler, like supporting Hitler in the period between World Wars I and II. And Bush's Union City Bank is known to have funneled many millions of dollars into the good old National Socialist Party throughout the 30s, I think right up into 1942. That's quite staggering, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And back to the topic of eugenics and Ted Turner, I just came across an article about Margaret Sanger.
Oh.
It's Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, was a pro-Nazi racist.
Of course.
And I didn't know she, in the article it goes on to say that she was a featured guest of the Ku Klux Klan and a huge proponent of forced sterilization program of the Nazi regime in the 1930s.
Yeah, she was sinister, Joe. In 1974, the UN organized its first World Population Conference, and they wanted to debate population control. And, of course, we know China rolled out its infamous one-child policy in 1980. That was pretty much a whole reflective policy piece of that whole meeting. But Margaret Sanger, she's the one that said the most merciful thing that a family does to one of its infant members is to kill it. And she is a total eugenicist, and her background is absolutely stunning, to say the least. I mean, she is a total demon, this woman. And, again, Mrs. Eugenics, she was into putting sterilants in the water supply. She was into forced vaccinations, forced sterilizations. And actually, funny enough, Doug and Joe, Paul Ehrlich, good old Paul Ehrlich, Al Gore's buddy. In fact, Al Gore signed his dust cover. In his book, Population Bomb, he called for putting, this is a friend of Obama's hand-picked science czar, John Holdren, and not just a friend, the guy co-wrote a book with him. This is John P. Holdren and Paul Ehrlich, the little conjoined Marxist twins, got together and wrote a book, and they talk about depopulation should be the highest priority of the U.S. government. I mean, this is Obama's so-called, gold standard of science. That is unbelievable. He was calling for sterilizations and forced sterilizations. Think about that, folks. Forced sterilizations in this book, and that is stunning.
And Sheila, we're talking about from Margaret Sanger and the eugenics movement to climate change. These two are very closely interrelated. Would you say climate change, man-made climate change or global warming, is the new term for eugenicism?
Oh, boy, Joe, that's really astute. I'd say that climate change is the modern face of eugenics. Absolutely. You got to remember there's Aldous Huxley, and, of course, we know good old British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. She was a huge fan of, get this, environmental policies, and she actually was really instrumental in funneling money and starting the IPCC, the interpanel, we call it the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. I call it the Interpanel on Climate Crooks is what it is. And it's amazing that all these players like Thomas Huxley, he's the great-grandson of Aldous Huxley, he actually advised Margaret Thatcher to promote global warming and population reduction. And then one of her top advisors, Sir Crispin Tickell, he was a British ambassador to the UN from 87 to the early 90s. He was a cousin of Aldous Huxley. So, I really start connecting some dots in my book on how all these players are interconnected. But, man, you nailed it when you said the modern face of eugenics. Yes, Joe, it is.
Interesting. Your book, it's out now, available now, The Green Gospel, New World Religion. That's available now?
Yes, it's Green Gospel, so there's no the, just Green Gospel,
Okay.
The New World Religion is the subtitle. It is available by pre-ordering. So it hits Amazon and Barnes & Noble, I believe, Friday or Monday. That's what my publisher tells me. But it's available for pre-order right now by going to my book website, which is greengospel.ca. That's a pretty easy one to remember, greengospel.ca.
Yeah, that is very easy.
It's linked, folks. If you go to hagmanhagmann.com, on the right-hand side, it takes you to the Weekend Vigilante as well as the book site. By the way, that's a great book site.
While writing the book, Sheila, is there anything that you found out in your research that surprised you that you didn't know when you were doing this project?
Oh, there was so much that I didn't know. There was a lot. But one of the things that really surprised me, and I really, it's amazing because when you're writing a book, and you got to remember, like, I just don't churn out a book all the time. This book has taken me about 5 years of really, putting it aside and then redoing it. And this is just not something that I sort of just banged off in 45 seconds. I mean, this took me a long time to put together and kind of put all these pieces together. So writing a book is really hard. And you know what? I don't think I ever want to write another book, just so you know. But one of the things that really surprised me was the very pagan green. The Nazis were very green, and I really did not know much about that until I started this book. Just how much into environmentalism and nature worship they were. I was just quite shocked and stunned by that. I was also shocked by a couple of different things. I mean, I knew Al Gore was a real crook, but I had no idea that he is always talking about rising sea levels, and then he buys an oceanfront property in San Francisco Bay. And then I found out he had 77 times carbon footprint of every other human on Earth, and when he went to try to cut his so-called carbon footprint down, it turned out that he was only even, again, 50 times higher than most people. So, I mean, there was just a lot of things that really did stun me, but also stunned me how some of the pagan Luciferians were tied into this as well. That was the part I didn't really. And then the final blow to me, was the draw, kind of my jaw hit the floor, was Rick Warren, who is a Council of Foreign Relations member. He actually started up this climate initiative. It's called the Evangelical Climate Initiative, and he worked with Al Gore to send out some 100,000, I guess it would be to some 100,000 churches in the West, these little, it was little grant applications to jump on board with the climate change, and all these churches were applying for Go Green. It's almost like, he was asking all the churches to get on board with this pagan religion, and that shocked me a lot.
Yeah, we talked about the Pope and his climate encyclical, but how else is the church involved in the Luciferian agenda or the Green agenda?
Well, people can look this up, Evangelical Climate Initiative. And it's called the ECI for short, and I would really recommend that people look that up. But the part of it is that here's the bottom line is everybody has a vested interest in the planet. I get that. I really understand that. But here's the thing, if Christians only knew that they're in a war and they don't even know it, Doug and Joe. And this green gospel is essentially taking over our children are being indoctrinated in schools and told, oh, you better go home and tell your mom and dad how to save the planet. I get the calls every day from people. I get the stuff sent to me on what they are indoctrinating our little kids to go running around saving the planet, and including this little 10-year-old girl that was on Brian Sussman in his book Climategate, reported that this little girl said, me and my classmates should just kill ourselves. This little 10-year-old girl thought the answer to global warming and all this climate change, because you got to remember Al Gore started off with climate change, then he said it was climate disruption, and now he's calling it climate crises or climate catastrophe, he said on Jimmy Fallon one night. We're in a climate catastrophe, Jimmy, and, something's got to be done, like global, depopulation and a one world government would fix it. And that's basically what the Pope is saying, too. We want a one world order, the order that would be in charge of everybody's vested interest, the climate. Isn't that very subtle?
Yeah. The Pope, on his June 18th climate encyclical, what is he doing with climate change, and how is he working in lockstep with the UN? There's some huge upcoming events. What are they planning to do during these meetings?
Yeah, that kind of bothers me a little
again,
bit.
the Pope started off by issuing the climate encyclical, so that was the first piece. Then, of course, this John Schnellhuber is a part of his very nefarious Science Academy. But all those guys are coming to the United States. They're going to meet with the UN. They're going to meet with Congress. And then they're going to have a really big show in Paris in December where they want to implement their world plan, their world regime, call it their sustainable development goals, call it whatever you want, but essentially it's global governance. That's what they want, because they want a profound reorientation of every human being on planet Earth. That's what it says in this Pontifical Academy thing that I never got to finish fully developing that idea, is that they say right in this document, and people can look it up, again, it's Climate Change and the Common Good, they want a world planetary regime, Doug and Joe, because we need to be profoundly reoriented on how we think about global warming, because it's the imperative.
Oh, man. Folks, if you're just joining us or joining us late, we're talking with Sheila Zilinsky. Excuse me. You know her. She's a former high-level government executive for the Ministry of Environment. She discovered confidential information back in 2007 that led her to speak out against the fraud of the anthropogenic global warming and the entire green agenda. Sheila is internationally recognized as a radio host. Weekend with Planning. Okay, she's an author and a minister. Her radio broadcast ministry outreach extends four corners of the earth. She examines the emergence of the New World Order, global governance, Agenda 21, the Green Agenda, which we're talking about now, Big Brother, Marxism, you name it. Paul McGuire. Now listen to this, folks. You know Paul McGuire. Here's what he's got to say. That Sheila is a force to contend with and possesses that rare combination of intellectual knowledge, the gift of being able to communicate articulately, and genuine biblically centered spirituality. I believe Sheila will emerge as an authentic leader in the days to come. And folks, listening to her today, I mean, there it is, her website, weekendvigilante.com, and of course, greengospel.ca, both linked up Hagmann and Hagmann.com.
And listeners, if you would like to, if anybody has questions for Sheila, give us a call at 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. After you connect, press 1 to get in the queue, and we will see that you're there. And you can ask her questions pertaining to her studies into the Climate Gate, if you will, or her new book, Green Gospel, The New World Religion. There is so much to talk about on this subject, as we see it is a religion almost, or I guess it would be considered a religion, that has been embraced by the United Nations, by the United States government, and policy is being written based on recommendations from these groups that directly affect us, like the Clean Water Act, for example. Sheila, I know you know this. There's laws that have been passed that give the government control over every waterway, lake, stream, creek, puddle, and that regardless of whose property it's on. This climate takeover, Agenda 21, have they renamed or repackaged Agenda 21? And if so, what are they doing to still carry out this agenda?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a good question, too. But this is like Agenda 21 on steroids, but it's all part of this. It's all just it's all interwoven into this. Agenda 21 is just a piece of this. And, of course, you just mentioned the Water Act. Well, they've been working on this stuff for years to just have carte blanche decision-making with all these policies, because, again, it comes down to these big top bureaucratic agencies deciding that, that is now under, this is now under the Climate Act. So, we better not do that because you might be violating it's just like vehicles right now. This is a a very stunning thing that if you buy a brand new diesel pickup right now, they call it, the EPA has new regulations where you now have to have, even on a Chevy pickup, you have to have this diesel exhaust fluid little rig on your truck. Before 2012, you didn't have to have these, but now you have to put urea, and people can look urea up and what that is. The EPA this is absolutely out. It's just stunning that people are going along hook, line, and sinker with this. There's no reason to put urea, and it's got pig's urine in it anyway. And I mean, it's so ridiculous that they've got us bowing down to Mother Earth, buying these smart cars, going eco-friendly. You know, everything's eco-boost on vehicles. You probably have these eco-friendly hybrid vehicles, and it's all in the name of saving Mother Gaia. So that's really the part of it that's so stunning, is that everybody is just doing it. They don't really get how this is all, the terms like sustainability and eco-friendly. I mean, it sounds really benevolent until you look at the surface of what this is. You scratch the surface, you find out it's very malevolent.
Yeah, and the electric car and hybrid car industry, now in Oregon, they have implemented a pay-per-mile tax. So anybody who bought, a eco-friendly car for the saving of money on gas and to help the environment, I guess, now has to pay per mile. And I believe that they're going to start implementing state by state till it's nationwide the same kind of policies. And it's just utter ridiculousness that they're doing this. It's just another way, like cap and trade is, to siphon money from people. This is just another way to do the same.
Absolutely. Well, and Obama is always trying to, put cap and trade back into his, he's trying to do that in his stimulus package and budget. And, it's amazing that these guys, they keep, Obama certainly keeps trying to repackage a little bit different, a little bit, maybe a little here and there. He just kind of, he pushes an updated version of cap and trade. And then, of course, he just sort of goes, gee, nothing to see here, folks. And then all of a sudden, you look at Gore and his huckster crony proponents of cap and trade were comfortably in place a few years ago to rake in billions off the scheme. You guys remember when Enron was involved in the whole cap and trade deal, and there was actually a big write-up in the New York Times that said Al Gore set to rake in billions off carbon credit scheme. So you see this. I mean, these guys are raking in the big bucks, and there's something like $100 billion in green stimulus, that's AKA green economy. Look at all these windmills floating around everywhere, and they're just a scam. They didn't work in Europe, so they scrapped them over there, and now it's like, Obama acts like this is just manna from heaven, all this so-called solar energy and green energy. But these cap and trade schemes are exactly that. They're schemes.
And Sheila, we're going to take calls here in a minute. My dad has a question off topic from what we're discussing now, and I do have a question too, but I'll let my dad.
Well, at some point, Sheila, before you have to be cut loose or before you have to go, I do want to talk to you about the Iran deal that was inked out here. Okay, we have so many people who have sent us emails about this. So I know that's off topic, but it's so important. I think that the backstory, whatever information you can, whatever light you can shed on that, I really appreciate your expertise on that, because I know that you're up on this kind of stuff. But I didn't want to surprise you. So at the proper time, we can, if possible, we can address that.
Yeah, just let us know. We can take calls now, or.
Well, when you're talking about what's going on with their newly struck nuclear deal, I think there's a lot of things going on in Iran that we're not being told on the 6 o'clock news. I mean, look at Biden was just talking about this morning on good old, I call them Clown News Network. He was Joe Boehner was on there, and good old. There was a whole bunch of those little. It's a family show. I gotta just say, I'll just say those not very nice guys. But Iran is getting very interesting, isn't it? To say the least, Doug and Joe.
Yeah, the whole thing, it's amazing. We've got, Mary from CBS News today asked the question about the American hostages, and that's what they are, hostages, not prisoners necessarily, hostages over in Iran. the four, I think five, maybe four, that where we know where they're at, and then one we don't. The disposition of those people. And Obama kind of really smacked down Major Garrett from CBS about, he was offended about how the question was asked as opposed to answering the question. Having said all of that, it seems like we are, instead of acting like a position of power, we are acquiescing to a terrorist country. And not only is Obama going along with this, but he set this up, by the way, a month ago, where it would be much more difficult by naming an agreement as opposed to a treaty. It takes the congressional, the whole congressional aspect of this for. Obama has the upper hand, I suppose, with the Congress ceding power to Obama, just like the TPP. But anyway, I guess this whole thing just troubles me, and people have been just emailing saying, "Boy, to talk about this." But anyway, so that's kind of really what I want to ask you about.
Well, and I think the other piece around this is, Doug, too. One of the things I heard these bald-headed idiots this morning saying, was it time to attack Iran? So, why a strike is the least bad option on the table, really? Is that, so I think that, again, you kind of see a little bit of this, Russia was the extreme bad guy, Putin was a bad guy, and what? That didn't work, so now let's focus on Iran? I'm not sure, but anything Obama's doing, you can't, that guy, you can't trust him as far as you throw him. He's such a devilish, he's not a very, I have other names for these guys, but I'll keep it clean. So I'm not a big fan of Obama, let's put it that way.
I don't know how much of this is true, but I did see a report today that stated in the deal with Iran that if Iran was to be attacked by another nation, that the U.S. would have to take the side of Iran. That's something I have to verify. I don't know, but it was a report. So if you think, we talk about Israel preemptively striking Iran due to their nuclear capabilities and threats. Just imagine a scenario where that happens and the United States would step in and protect.
Well, Israel and Saudi Arabia have created an alliance now. I never thought I'd see that.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the phone calls.
But then do you find it strange also that just when all this shuck and jive is going on, then you have, an assassination of the top Syrian general gets leaked to U.S. files. So, there's just so much going on. We're getting pummeled 6 ways to Sunday on all fronts with a lot of disinfo. It's like, look over here. Well, what's happening over here? The left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. And sometimes when they're really pressing an issue, Doug and Joe, you have to wonder what they're kind of trying to distract us from, right?
I love that. Yeah, indeed.
All right, let's take some calls for Sheila. Let's go to area code 561 first. 561, thanks for calling in. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report with our guest, Sheila Zilinsky.
Hi, Barb calling from Florida. I've been to many, many conferences on Agenda 21. And today I received a booklet from the National Association of Scholars. And in it, they were discussing the colleges, how many have sustainability projects or majors or whatever, and that it's costing us $3.4 billion a year for these programs. And there's 664 institutions in the United States that have this sustainability rating system, they call it, earning points for doing various things like growing an organic garden, subsidizing child care, offering gender-neutral housing, all kinds of things. I was wondering if you discuss any of that as far as what's happening in education. They're all being brainwashed from K through college.
Well, thank you, caller. Yeah, you're right. And, yeah, they even have these California little cities constructed now, these little smart cities. So you're right. I mean, everybody's getting whether it's pamphlets in the mail or your kids are bringing home stuff. I had my son 2 years ago bring home, he's 14 years old, he brought home the Ark of the Covenant, new 10 global commandments. I mean, I almost hit the ceiling. I went steaming into that school board, and I gave the director I gave him a history lesson or two, Doug and Joe. But you're right. I mean, I do cover a lot of the Agenda 21 piece in my book, as well as the sort of the brainwashing. Because you got to remember the Agenda 21 is really, in a nutshell, what it says. It's an agenda for the 21st century. And, in reality, this whole green tsunami of globalism is absolutely not even clandestinely operating anymore. It's really in your face. It's coming soon to a local community near you. They're calling for dramatically increasing urbanization and forcing populations out of rural areas. Joe, you talked about puddles there. Now they can just shut your whole farm down if you have a puddle on your property. Forget you. You're going to come into these, forget the rural area. They want you into these densely populated, massive mega cities, complete with these little stack and pack micro apartments, controlled by technocrats with the ability to control every aspect of your life. Aldous Huxley would salivate with this serfdom.
Yeah, I would agree. 218 area code. We're coming to you next. 218, you're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report with Sheila.
Hey, guys, it's Laurel. Hang on.
Okay, Laurel.
It's Laurel from nowhere, Minnesota. Sheila, I heard you on, I don't know if it was your program or somebody else's program the other night. God bless you and what you do, and God bless both you, Doug, and Joe. Okay. Jade Helm, I just want to pass some stuff along, and maybe you guys want to comment on it. As you all know, supposedly today was the official start date, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I saw on my Facebook posting, are you guys aware of AT&T cell towers going out across the nation?
I have not been aware of that.
No.
Yeah, there was about 21 stations that they're going to have limits. This is just one carrier. This is AT&T. I watched this on a YouTube video or something like that, but I wanted to pass that on, and I can share that with you guys at a later point. Sheila, did you know about this? Because I said this is just one carrier.
Yeah, I do know about it, but I guess one of the things for me is I got a call yesterday by a guy. He said he was with the New York Times, and he wanted to talk about a program that I talked about Jade Helm with Dave Hodges a few weeks back, and we had a couple episodes on this. And what's really interesting, and actually it turns out, I think his name was Manny Fernandez, and it turns out the guy's legit, and he was actually writing a piece. And then it was funny because just today I saw this, it says, in Texas, a military exercise is met by some with suspicion. And then he was going on to say, despite the Internet chatter about trains with shackles in Walmart stores and, Jade Helm 15. I mean, the one lady on Fox News, she couldn't even pronounce it right. She called it Jed Helm. I thought it was pretty funny.
That's what they're calling it, is Jed Helm. Yeah.
Jed Helm, yeah, they're idiots.
Remember Beverly Hills? Okay, so anyway, but I wanted to alert. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sheila. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I think that what's really stunning is how the media is trying to do some damage control on this one. I think that's always very interesting part of this. I mean, and we get that something's going on now because we've screamed and hyped about it. Could it be possible that we've diverted something because Doug and Joe have talked about it, I've talked about it? Who knows what's happening, but we know there's some very nefarious things all playing out, don't we?
Yes, we do. And then the other one I saw was the electric grid. And it was another posting, and I can't get into it because it is blocked by some ad. But it said something like the U.S. is the worst in some third world countries in our electric grid. So can you imagine if they wanted to take out our electric grid, how easy it would be to do that? And again, I can send you the post, you guys, or Sheila, I'll do it to you too. But I'm sitting here going, oh my, But I hear what Sheila's saying is, what is the deception and what is the truth, and what's going on?
Oh man,
yeah,
there's so many layers.
Yeah, there's so many layers. And what's the truth and what's the deception, and is anything going to happen? Remember the 4th of July when something was supposed to happen and nothing happened?
Yeah, we were all holding our collective breaths, I mean, really.
I know, and what I said was nothing's going to happen because what they're doing right now, my friends, this is my personal belief, is collecting info on all of us. That's the part of Jay Helm they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. Nathan Leal was Nathan Leal really broke that information initially, and then DJ, the other guest we had, and I agree. I think it's a data mining operation. I think it's a psychological operation. I think there's many facets to it, but and this won't be the last.
No, it won't, my friend. But I wanted to also give you an update. I have now 6 turkeys. maybe I can share one of you with you guys for Thanksgiving this year. And I've got 25 new baby meat birds coming. They're here. Wow. If you can hear them chirping in the back. And Sheila, I'm raising God told me to raise chickens, build a library, and keep the faith. And
amen.
So I amen, girlfriend. You are one strong woman. I wish I could give you a big hug, all of you guys, right now. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you and keep up the good work. And Joe, where's my book at?
You didn't wait a minute, Laurel. You did not get your book yet?
No. See, this is the kind of stuff they're throwing at me. No, I have not got my book yet. And Karma sends her love.
Oh yeah, Sheila, we've got a board here in the office of listeners and their dogs. Oh, Karma, well, anyway.
And Doug's getting one of her babies when she has them. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah, man, yeah. Maybe a turkey too. Anyway, my friends, I'll let you go because I know there's a lot of people on the line that want to talk to you. But again, God bless you all and keep up the work. But I just wanted to share all that stuff with you. And I will send you those links, okay, in the email.
Please do. Please, yeah.
Okay, we'll do. Thanks. Love you all. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks for the call. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Sheila's going to hang with us after the break because the next 3 phone calls we take after the break, Sheila wants to give away a free signed copy of her book.
Wow. Do we qualify? Can I call in?
Yes, you qualify too.
Cool.
All right, well, let's take that break now. And Sheila, thank you so much for your generosity. I'm sure the listeners appreciate it as much as we do. Ladies and gentlemen, hour number 2 of this Wednesday edition of the Hagmann Hagmann Report. Today is the 15th of July, 2015. Our guest is Miss Sheila Zilinsky. She's a radio show host. Her website is The Weekend Vigilante and the author of a new book, Green Gospel, The New World Religion. Next 3 callers will receive a free autographed copy. So we're going to go to the phones now, and we're going to start with area code 520. 520, we're coming to you.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Still living the dream.
I love that. Well, you're on with Sheila. Sheila Zilinsky, Weekend Vigilante.
Yeah, Doug. This is Sam in Tucson. We've talked several times in the past.
Sam. Why didn't I recognize your voice? I'm sorry.
Well, it's just one of those things. My radio announcer voice guy. It just depends if he comes out. But more importantly, Sheila, I'm one of those nameless intercessors, and there's several of us out here. But a couple things. One, I believe there's several of us out there who keep you guys in prayer. You're impacting I don't know how many thousands of lives, and so my only 2 quick cents. So there's other people probably with great questions. The first one is, keep the faith, keep up the good work you're doing. I mean, the ramifications of what y'all guys are doing, whether it be Doug and Joe, and you, Sheila, and the message you provide, and actually hearing from God and what you're doing, we will never understand that in this lifetime. 1, 2, The only, and you can answer this off air, Sheila, would be hopefully I do represent somewhat the Latino community. Do you have any plans to translate your book into Spanish? Because, again, there's just not too many people speaking up against whether it be spiritual warfare or this amazing topic that you're talking about. Do you have any plans to translate your book into Spanish? And you can answer. I'll hang up or whatever. But God bless you guys.
And Sam, if you could send your contact information via email to us or to Sheila. Sheila, if you want to give out your email, or you can just send it to us and we will get it to Sheila. But she will give you a free autographed copy of her book.
Well, thanks. That's a moot point, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I'll send that out. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
So,
thanks.
To answer his question, and so he can hear this off air. And first of all, his name is Sam. Let me just thank you, Sam, for your prayers and to your intercessory prayers that you just said you were doing. It's a very wonderful comment that you made about thanking us for all we do. And, you know, we just try to, I mean, it's not exactly probably something Joe and I and Doug picked to do in life, but you do your calling that God gave you. And if you don't do it, then you really struggle not doing it. So I'm not sure which is worse, Doug and Joe not doing it or doing it. But we just do what we're called to do. And, you know, sometimes we do have challenges, obviously, and sometimes there's valley times. But we really appreciate everyone out there that is concurrently praying for us. That's just so amazing. So basically the answer to your question is my publisher is translating this book into, I believe the first three languages are Italian, French, and I believe Spanish, and then it's going into some other languages as well. But they always put it out in, I think there's actually a fourth one as well, but I know for sure it's going out in Spanish, French, English, and Italian. That's the first little bit, and then I don't know what's happening after that.
It's amazing. That's great. Wow.
Excellent. All right, let's move on to another call. 830. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report with Sheila. 830.
They must have hit the snooze button there. All right.
763. 763. We're coming to you next. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report with Sheila Zilinsky.
Hi, Sheila.
Go ahead and
Hello?
say that again. There, okay.
Okay, I'm on. I was on mute because I'm trying to make dinner. I do want to ask how we help educate more traditional Catholics to understanding how to, I guess, interpret the Pope's green policy.
How do you interpret the Pope's green policy for Catholics in a way that makes sense to them? What's going on?
Right, because where I'm at right now, I'm on an Indian reservation. I'm working here as a healthcare professional, and there's been traditional Catholic beliefs circulated among the Native Americans here, and they see that the Pope is a good man, and that he has maybe some different ideas, but they don't see the nefarious part. They don't see that it really matters to them or to their life.
Well, you know, interestingly, natives are really into pantheism too, and Curtis and Brother Marcus and I talked about this too, that, you know, a lot of the native beliefs are also very woven into this whole environmentalism thing where they worship the creation. So that's a big part of the native people, so it's not surprising that they, you know, unless they have Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, they're not going to wake up to this really. And that's what I kind of like about the book, because I touch on the pantheism and what the Pope's doing, and I tie all these dots together, but then at the end of the book, there's only one answer. And so the book might be created for little low rider driver down the street or some Joe six-pack lunchbox carrier, or even a Christian pastor. But the thing is, it's designed for everyone to connect the dots, and then it gets into how they can, you know, what is the true answer to all of this? Well, it's Jesus Christ. It's the real gospel of Christ, not the green gospel. So it kind of brings out that. But I mean, I can't really tell you bit by point, bit by bit, what to tell the Catholics. But I mean, I'd say get people a copy of my book, or get it on, get it in some format, because this book is really important. It really, I think, it has the hand of God on it, and I want to get it in people's hands. And until you sort of paint them through what's happening, I mean, there is probably going to be a documentary as well. So, that's a good tool to use. But this is why I wrote this book. It's a good tool to wake people up, caller.
Oh, yes, it is. Pantheism is so prevalent among the natives. It is in the way that they talk about the earth and the other creatures, and it's so hard at coming from a different culture to discuss things, because they see Mother as being so different than what Christianity sees it. And so I really struggle to try to reach across the gap.
Yeah, so I understand that, because they're very, again, I worked with First Nations a lot when I was at the Environment, and it's always this, Mother Earth, and, we're praying to the Creator. But the thing is, they're not praying to Jesus Christ. They're praying to a totally different God. So if you want to email me, though, I have some ideas, definitely. So do email me, and, of course, get your information to Doug and Joe, and we'll be glad to get you a copy of the book to start off with.
Well, that would be great, and thank you. And I pray for you guys every day, too.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
God bless.
Thank you so much for the call, and send us your email for that free copy. All right. Last one. We're going to go last free copy, 315. 315, you're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report with Sheila Zilinsky.
Upstate New York. There you go.
Yes, Central New York. Great to hear the program tonight. I'm always disgusted, like millions of other people, with Obama. And, of course, Jesus spoke about Obama when he said, "Ye are of your father the devil." And all the things that Satan, that Obama's doing is, of course, people are involved. And, of course, Satan's not sitting on a beach someplace kicking sand around watching the Internet and TV. He's directing a lot of things, and I would be surprised if he's personally made a lot of trips to the Oval Office to admire his good buddy. That's about all I got to say.
All right. Caller, you are the third and last caller to receive a free autographed copy of Sheila's book. So if you would email us your where we can send it at our email address, or email Sheila, either way, make sure you do that so you can get your free autographed copy of her new book.
Well, thank you very much, and I'll look forward to that. I don't know how to email, so I'll have to get a friend to do it.
Okay. Actually, if you want, I can take your number right now, and I can contact you off air and get the information for you. That way we can make it easier.
Sure. You want my phone number?
No, I have it here.
Okay.
So
you'll call me?
Yep, I'll contact you, get your address, and we'll get that book right out to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sheila, and thank you, Doug and Joe.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for the call.
Yes, sir. Bye-bye.
All right.
Sheila, all this, everything that we're talking about here, your book addresses, and this is really, I'm so glad that you've written this book, because, folks, everything that we're talking about is interconnected, I believe, with the push toward global governance, and everything is rooted, of course, in this Luciferian agenda, which is manifest or presented, really more understandable, as a communist kind of platform, isn't it, Sheila? I mean, aren't we talking about just pure unbridled communism?
Pure unbridled communism. I'm going to steal that line, Doug. That's what it is. It's absolute. I mean, Karl Marx he himself would salivate at what's going on in the United States right now. The very term capitalism, this Western form of capitalism, I mean, it is absolutely stunning what's happened to the West. We are morphing into, I used to say the Fourth Reich, but we're morphing into a horrible fascist, commie, Marxist technocracy, and it's quite stunning to just even look 5 years ago and see. I mean, this country is becoming unrecognizable, Doug.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's crazy. Even in the last, the last couple of years, how quickly we have devolved as a society, as a nation. I mean, our moral fabric has been ripped apart. Our culture ripped apart. Everything everything possibly that could be done to really destroy our nation and to deconstruct our nation, deconstruct the middle class, destruct as well. I mean, it's being done, and it's being done in such a rapid fashion. It's really, I don't know. I didn't think 5 years ago. I did not think we would be here today where we're at. I didn't think the advancements would be so great, but they are, and really a hinge point to all of this is really what you write about in Green Gospel. It's that environmentalistic or a major facet of the communist agenda is the environmental aspect of things, the Agenda 21, everything you covered tonight. It's just wow. I don't know. It's all interconnected.
Well, and not that I'm a big fan of Charles Finney, but Doug, he did say something, I thought, and he was, just for folks that don't know him, Charles Finney was a 19th century revivalist, and he was a pretty major contributor to America's Second Great Awakening. He actually coined something that I think is very true, and if this doesn't really lay it out, it says, if the society is absolutely, if there's a decay of consciousness and the society is so debaucherous like it is, well, guess what? The church is responsible for it. The pulpit is responsible for it. And as our good buddy Steve Quayle calls them, the pukes in the pulpit, and I can't agree more. I mean, it is high time that the church grew a backbone, Doug and Joe, because these little pervasive plethora of weak and gutless, insecure people pleasers we have hiding behind their good old 501c3 churches, like Howdy Doody in Texas there, Mr. Lakewood Luker. I think this is stunning that they get away with this homosexuality, the whole sodomite agenda, and Steve Quayle brought out an excellent point on, maybe he brought this up on your show, he certainly hammered this point today when he said that the 6 colors in the flag, represent something, these 6 colors. And it's funny because what I said on my show today, and I still believe this is so true, that not only is the church responsible for it, but like Steve said, you guys can churn out 2 Chronicles 7:14 all day long, but, why is it that this country is in the tanker? Let's think about that. And then I thought, why are these sodomites waving around this colored flag, the rainbow colors in the flag? Well, you guys are smart. You take God's symbol from the last time you destroyed the earth and you wave it around as a symbol of your sin. That's a great idea. Let me take shelter while I move away from you. You know what I mean, Doug and Joe?
Very much so.
And Sheila, I have to admit, some investigator I am. Until Steve mentioned that, it just never really occurred to me the nefarious purpose is the intent behind this. Here it is, the rainbow flag, all the colors of the rainbow staring me right in the face, but it never occurred to me about the hijacking of God's covenant, the symbol of God's covenant, by this agenda. It really, and I think a lot of people really don't see that, and it needs to be pointed out. Yeah, wow.
But Doug, how many Christians are really doing anything besides, posting a Facebook? It's like, I don't agree with gay marriage. Well, that's really nice. Your Facebook post is really going to change the world. You'd think that Christians by the millions would be in a fervent uproar over this thing descending upon these so-called leaders at the White House, especially for having these colors. They should have been on them like a swarm of mad locusts, but where are they, Doug and Joe? While the whole country goes to hell in a handbasket, these guys are nowhere to be found. Oh, pardon me, Obama's golfing. This whole thing is just so out of control. It is just in your face. every single thing is in our face. And, the gates of hell have been opened. Steve couldn't have nailed it better. This really is what we're facing. I think the judgment of God is here, and the remnant better be thankful and continue to press into the things of God. But everybody else, I think, is in a lot of trouble, Doug and Joe.
You got that right.
Yeah, very well said. Well, Sheila, I know you were scheduled to come on for only an hour. We can keep you on. We can keep taking phone calls and talking about things. We can let you go.
I don't mind staying on another half an hour, and then I got to jump off here at 10 o'clock Eastern.
Okay. Let me ask you, Sheila, or why don't you tell people how they can tune into your radio broadcast?
Certainly. So I'm on 2 different places. I'm on Worldwide Christian Radio. I'm on World International Network Broadcasters. And then I also broadcast daily at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So every day, that's weekdays at 6 p.m. Eastern on my website, as well as weekendvigilante.com.
Perfect. Yeah, you got a number of emails here asking, hey, make sure you tell us how we can listen. So there you have it, folks. All right.
Let's keep taking calls. We have a number of people on hold. 304, we're coming to you. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report with Sheila.
Hi, Sheila, Doug, and Joe. I just have a question about the AI and all this interconnection that it seems like the Luciferians, and let's say Lucifer, he wants this global interconnection. I mean, it's like the big potato in the room that no one sees. Are they just trying to duplicate what God has already established in His kingdom? That's what it looks like to me. They're just trying to copy what God's already done through His Holy Spirit and through the throne of grace. What's your take on that?
Sheila, we're going to kick that question to you.
Okay, well, I think that the caller is certainly right. I mean, Satan does really try to counterfeit everything that God does, and he's right, too. I mean, we're living in a time that even the early church would have not seen this kind of thing that's happening. When you look at what's going to be coming upon the earth, I mean, there's some pretty crazy stuff about to be unleashed, and I think it's really important that people understand that, especially with I don't know, I forget whose show I was on. I might have said this on John B. Wells' show the other night. I said, we've got transhuman, transabled, transgender, and now it's like there's these really bizarre things. I don't know if you heard this, Doug and Joe, where people are actually sawing off their limbs. And I'm not talking about because they don't connect with their body parts like Caitlyn. Well, let's call him Bruce. Let's call him what he is, Bruce Gender.
I've heard about this.
Jenner. Sorry. I call him Bruce Transgender now. So I know me and my words, right? But, it's really interesting because people are sawing off their body parts because they just don't feel connected to them, Doug and Joe. Like, do people not understand that this is an absolute satanic, evil meltdown? If people are not getting that part of it, well, then I don't know what the answer for them is. But the caller certainly alluded to sort of this transmography of debauchery. We've got all these very strange biotech, nanotech. They're geoengineering us, chemtrailing us to the point where people are developing Morgellons disease, and so there certainly is this cross-pollination between all that stuff. So yeah, we're definitely getting ready for the days of Noah Part 2, aren't we, Doug and Joe?
Huh.
I think we're in the thick of them.
And I think here in a very short period of time we're going to be seeing the things that Steve has been talking about. And Sheila, you've covered a lot of this too. We are. I mean, time is short, and I'm not sure that. I have a feeling coming up, men's hearts will fail them for what they're going to be seeing here in very short order. You had mentioned something earlier. Now, this is something I want to kind of tap into your. This connects directly with Green Gospel, your new book, folks. Sheila Zilinsky, Green Gospel. New book. You gotta get it. Fantastic book. But let me ask you this: the Pope coming here in September to deliver a message to the United Nations.
The same time the blood moon is happening. The end of Jade Helm. So many other things.
Sheila, talk to us about this. What's going on?
So with the Pope coming to the United States, is that what you want to know?
Yeah. Anything that, I mean, obviously it's connected to the larger Gaia agenda, but I mean, is that the sum and substance of his appearance, perhaps, or I mean, in the larger sense?
Well, he's been planning on coming to the United States for quite a while. This world meeting, basically, he had just this year. I mean, he's been to the Philippines. He was all over talking about, of course, climate change as the moral imperative. But now he's actually coming to not only he's speaking at two very high-end meetings, and the one in Paris is going to be the really big show where I believe they're going to, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I really believe that's where they're going to ratify these planetary global, call them sustainable development goals with, nicely packaged with a global governance. I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, this is the greatest form of tyranny that has ever come, and it's in a very benevolent guise of saving the planet. That's the major thing that just makes me shake my head, is this is all done so subtly because, it's so good to save the planet, Doug and Joe, but people don't understand how nefarious this is. So, yeah, I believe when he comes to the States in a very unprecedented move, I believe that's exactly what he's doing, lockstep at the UN to try to implement these sustainable development goals. That's what I predict.
Okay. Yeah.
Very interesting. All right, let's move along on the phones here. Area code 916. 916, we're coming to you. 916.
Hey, Doug and Joe, this is David from Sacramento. How are you guys?
Good. You're on with Sheila.
Hey, Sheila, how are you?
Hey, I'm good.
Good. I just actually listened to your show. It was an older one with Doc Marquise, and I'd never heard him before. I'm surprised I missed him on your guys' show, Doug and Joe. It was actually really awesome.
Yeah, he's been on a lot. He's a great guy.
Yeah, we have to get him back on. Meanwhile, a question for Sheila. Green Gospel, new book.
Well, Sheila, I just wanted to say thank you for writing it and just showing everybody what's going on with the agenda. And I honestly didn't have a question about the book. I was actually calling to check in with you guys to see what you'd heard about Jade Helm today, because we're seeing all the power outages over the United States. And I am apparently about to drive into a hot zone where there's planned outages because I have to go for work, and I just wanted to see if you guys had heard anything. I'm actually driving to San Francisco and Oakland.
Wow. Well, okay. Well, first of all, be careful. And, we're going to be talking to Helm after the at the top of next hour, or at the bottom of this hour. Top of next hour. We're going to be talking about that. I'm sorry. And, if you can stay tuned for that, we'll fill you in on what we know and some of the information that I think you need to have.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent. Well, again, Sheila, thank you so much for writing the book and what you do, and I hope it, gets to a lot of people so we can start waking up and start doing the Lord's work.
Thank you, caller. God bless. And stay safe.
All right. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Have a good night. All right. Let's see. Who have we not taken on the phones? As we have, let's go back to 805. See if somebody's there this time. 805. You're live on the
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Doug. This is Tom from Ventura, California. Excuse me. And Sheila. There's one thing that you don't hear, talk about, because if this is true, probably all of this won't matter. And that is from Japan, Fukushima, or how you pronounce it, because the way it's going, it's could completely destroyed the planet. And you don't hear anything on the main media. And the reason that all the countries don't get together and you don't hear one word about it is because there's nothing they can do. Is that true?
Sheila, what do you know about Fukushima?
Well, I just know I had heard the other day that there's a Russian contractor going to construct a Fukushima water decontamination plant. I know that's scheduled for either late this year. Why it's a Russian one, I have no clue. That was really interesting. I had somebody was coming on my show and I wanted to ask a question, and I kind of came across this article. I thought that was really interesting. But I think that Fukushima is definitely, that's something to be very, very concerned about. There's no question about it. You got to ask, why are these nuclear reactors being created on these so-called fault lines? Because it seems to be every single one that you look at, they're created nefariously almost. Like, why are they set up on these fault lines? And so, I have a lot of questions about it. I mean, is it really... I even read one article, and I guess this is where people have to be careful with disinformation. There's so much disinformation out there. That's why I really have to think people have to be discerning, and, well, God's Word is a discerner. So getting God's Word and start asking for discernment, because there's a lot of fringe, outrageous information out there. I had heard that some Japanese guy is now coming out. He works for... he was kind of a whistleblower, and he's come out and said, yeah, it was all just staged so people wouldn't buy, get their essential fatty oils. I mean, you just hear all sorts of very bizarre things, don't you?
Well, Jim Stone, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he said what happened there was that Israel was behind it, and they planted two nuclear suitcase or bombs in the bed of the ocean, and that's why you never really saw any buildings fall from the earthquake. It was all caused through the tidal wave, and that's because Israel was mad at Japan for selling some material to Iran. And so on the other side, I was going to say, when you were talking about the Pope, now the Pope is coming out and saying that you're not Christian if you don't ban your weapons or don't buy guns, give up your guns.
Well, Chuck Baldwin would love to talk about that.
Have you heard that the Pope is saying that? Yeah,
well, the Pope is a devil in Sheila's opinion, not necessarily expressed as this is not the Hagmann and Hagmann opinion. This is Sheila's opinion.
Good caller, we're going to cut you loose. Thanks for that call. God bless, man. Hey, before we go any further, Sheila, let me ask you something. I heard something about you. I want to ask about this because I got to know. Who can you talk about Naomi Oreskes? Who is she? And did I hear this right? She wants to throw you in jail?
She wants to, yeah. Well, actually, there's a few of us that... Well, she's an affiliate professor of Earth and Planetary Sciences at Harvard. Of course, good old Harvard is, kind of a breeding ground for idiots anyway. But she likes the idea of having climate deniers prosecuted under the RICO Act. That's the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. She actually wants people arrested that are denying that their man is causing global warming. And that's actually, people can look that up on YouTube as well. But I'm in an actual lawsuit by D-Smog blog creator for, it says Sheila Zilinsky is a climate denier, and the fact that I'm endangering people, promulgating a message that man is in fact not causing global warming is what I'm saying. I'm saying that the sun is the major drive. I'm not saying that climate doesn't change. This word climate change is ridiculous. I'm not saying the climate doesn't change. I'm saying I do not believe that man is the major culprit in global warming. That's what I'm saying. But I'm still being sued for that. And David Suzuki, he actually says on record that he would like, all people that say things like, anybody that questions the narrative of these guys, he would like them jailed too.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry about that, Sheila. Yes, sorry about that.
Now did I lose you guys?
No, there was this huge echo in the delay. It's interesting. Some of the people that we have on and some of the technical things that happen that are uncharacteristic.
Yeah, we have a caller on hold that was going to come on and had a question for you, and I found the number and it dropped right off. It got disconnected. So caller
from the 828 area code.
828 call back. We'll bring you right on.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I heard about this woman and how you kind of got on her radar, and it's just wow. These.
Well, it's amazing though how they're trying to silence the dissenters. Like, here's the thing: this is a really important thing for people to understand, and I think it's just so stunning, Doug and Joe, that again, you have so many players in this. And again, you have cap and trade failing in Europe, and Obama trying to repackage it here, and he's pushing it again. And every other week, climate change is the biggest pressing issue that we've got. Well, you heard Ted Turner. We got too many people using too much stuff here. But man is not causing global warming. And the only place in the universe, and I want to explain a little tiny piece of this temperature thing, because according to climatological and geological experts, shifts in CO2 have no relationship to global warming or climate change. In fact, in every record from any time that you look back even in the medieval warming period, any time period in the history of the Earth, temperature always increases before CO2 does. And this is in complete contradiction to the IPCC, which is as Obama said, the gold standard on climate science. No, it's not. The chair of their committee was a railway engineer with no climate science background. And when he actually resigned back in February, you know what he said, Doug and Joe? And people can look this up. Rajendra Pachauri said his role at the IPCC, that's the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, he said, it's not just my job, it's my religion, my dharma. He's a Hindu or Eastern mysticism guy. And I was just stunned. But nowhere in the planet, in the planet, does temperature increase before CO2 does. This is in complete contradiction. And so CO2, they say that the increase causes a temperature increase. Well, the only place where that is in the IPCC computer models, nowhere else in the world.
And that's troubling to say the least. And sorry about that delay. We're going on mute here, muting ourselves, trying to find a caller who is unable to connect or is trying to connect.
But you know what, Sheila? I think the key word that you said there when you answered that, when you talked about that, the religion. It's my religion, and this is a religion for the the power elite. But it's an exclusionary religion. It doesn't. It's a religion that doesn't include us, the people who are outside of the club. And just one thing I want to say about Green Gospel, I truly believe this is a book that once you read it, you'll understand the depth of the conspiracy, and by definition, it's really a criminal conspiracy
that's infiltrated every local town, municipality, state, government, township. It is far expanding. Even we were told, here locally about a person who came in and is a proponent of Agenda 21 and the changes they started to make here in townships around our city.
Indeed. Well, while we're waiting for the other caller,
we do have other callers.
Well, okay, Sheila, right now, if you can, tell us again, how can people order your book, and if you can give out the website.
Okay, and I want to touch just on something Joe just said. It is in every town, every hamlet. It's everywhere. This thing is everywhere. That's the thing. It's like this green tsunami of green theology that has everybody running around trying to save the planet. And again, their mantra is really this: save the planet, kill yourself. That's honestly what it's about. Ingrid Newkirk says she's with the ethical treatment for animals. You know, PETA, P-E-T-A, anybody can look that up. The Reader's Digest in 1990, she actually said that humans are the biggest blight. They're the biggest cancer on the earth, and they should all be eradicated. And I mean, all these guys, they say these terrible quotes. So anyway, how people can get the book, Green Gospel, is go to greengospel.ca, and they could just click on the pre-order link. Steve Quayle, Tom Horn, Paul McGuire, and Christopher C. Horner, who's a New York Times bestselling author of Red Hot Lies, actually give the book a great endorsement, so people can read that as well on the website.
Cool. Yeah, it's a fabulous read, and it should be in the hands of everyone who's got a child in school. It should be in the hands of everyone who's got. We all have skin in this game, and I think it's an important read. And you know what, Sheila, you do a marvelous job of really tying together some loose ends, seemingly disparate ends, disparate facts, and pulling them all together to expose these people. So I want to commend you for that. Indeed. Wow.
Area code 409. We're coming to you, 409. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report with Sheila.
Hi, this is Renee down in Texas. Hi, Sheila.
Hi, Renee.
I love your show. I love your show. I'm looking forward to reading your book. But I had a question.
Thank you.
I was thinking about when they had the cash for clunkers for the cars, and we're trying to get everyone to get rid of their junky car and get a new car. And I was thinking about Doug saying how everything was connected. And I just wondered if you had any thoughts about whether the whole plan for getting rid of old cars and having new cars was so that we'd all have new cars that would go out. Yeah. I just wondered if
what happens is...
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Finish your question.
Well, I was just wondering if that might be related to, an EMP bomb at some point. We would all have cars that won't run anymore. Whereas if we all had old junkers that didn't have so many electrical components to them, that maybe we would still be able to get around. I don't know. It was just an idea I had. I'm not familiar with cars and how that stuff works, but I just thought that there's probably some sinister plot there.
Well, I know there's a couple of things that come to mind there. The EPA regulations for new vehicles, they can't be giving out carbon dioxide emissions. So, of course, they have emissions regulations, so that's why they want everybody to get rid of their old clunkers, because they want you saving the planet. You can't have a big Dodge diesel, 1-ton dually sitting there burning smoke out there, right?
Right.
So that's obviously a problem. Okay, I don't know why somebody's phone is ringing. Am I hearing that or?
Yeah,
no,
sorry about that.
That's us.
Yeah.
That was my only question. I just wondered if you guys had any thoughts about that. And
I'll just answer that off air. Actually, caller, sure.
Okay, thanks.
There you go.
So, Doug, I think one of the other things, too, to remember is that it's not just about the carbon emissions and all these eco-friendly vehicles and all these hybrid-type vehicles that are all fuel-efficient and energy-efficient, and now they've got electric cars, and the Chevy Volt is a ridiculous car, and people go, oh, that's so wonderful. Well, you know what? Try to get some of these cars up in colder weather. They don't start. They don't function. But I also think there's a more nefarious part of this, too. I have a 2004 clunker and people go, why do you drive such a piece of garbage? Because I will not, Doug and Joe, buy a vehicle with GPS in it. I was traveling with my girlfriend. She has a Lincoln Navigator. We were going for a ride. We were in a country road, and one night, honestly, this thing stopped, just dead stop. They wouldn't turn it back on, and I'm not going to have them be able to shut down my car. So no thanks. I'll keep my clunker.
I agree with you. When did they start putting in GPS in the vehicles? What year? I was really struggling with that, trying to find a authentic answer to that. It seems like it was incremental, depending on the manufacturer.
I think they probably started putting GPS. I don't know the exact year. Maybe someone can look that up for us. But definitely they started doing some nefarious things with tracking and hacking. I know the GPS is big now In fact, I don't even think there's cars that don't have GPS. You know, these older cars, and that isn't that nefarious to get you to get a brand new car. They have to say your old carbon emitting, you know, your carbon pollution big clunky vehicle. Oh, it just doesn't measure up to the eco police. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember, you know, I'm old enough to remember when you would take your car to get inspected, it was just a single inspection sticker, and it was just kind of a look, you know, just a basic look over and make sure it was up to safety standards. But now you've got to have the emissions sticker, and if you don't, the catalytic converters, you know, and we've been just boiled and baked into this madness. And the other thing too, I wanted to mention this. We have in our new studio, we've got some light fixtures, and you know those squiggly lights, those things that kind of, well, they're funny looking. Anyway, one burnt out, so I took it to the hardware store, and I was trying to find one, a replacement for that. By the time I left, man,
Doug, can I just throw something in here? This is really, I'm glad you brought this point up. This is incredible how they are replacing all our, incandescent light bulbs with these new poisonous light bulbs. I'm going to tell your listeners right now something that's stunning, and you can look this up. And I am so outraged about what they're doing with these light bulbs, because if you break one of these so-called new energy-efficient light bulbs, it actually releases neurotoxins. You have about 5 seconds to get out of your house if you break one of those. So I tell people, get them out of your house. Get them out of your kids' rooms. Don't buy them. Just go somewhere and stock up on incandescents. And you know what? Tell your store, if you know a mom-and-pop store, get them to order them in. And even if they're not going to order them in anywhere, we have to start putting pressure on store owners to say, no, we're not buying these poisonous, energy-efficient light bulbs. This is so insidious.
Wow. Okay, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because even the guy at the store, because I was about ready to lose my mind when I was, I could not find the proper fixture for this. It had two prongs on it, and it was squiggly. And I asked the guy, I said, whose idea was this? And do you actually sell these things? And yeah, it was madness. But you're saying neurotoxins in there, huh? Okay.
These new energy-efficient light bulbs, like I said, folks, get rid of them. Go get some normal light bulbs, just the old bulby kind of bulbs. There you go. There's a really articulate phrase, bulby bulbs.
No, that's my language. That's how I describe them at the store. Just regular old-fashioned bulbs, bulby bulbs. Got it.
Let's fit another call in here. Area code 678. 678. You're live with the Hagmann Hagmann report with Sheila Zilinsky.
Hey, Doug. Hey, Joe. Hey, Sheila. How you doing?
Good evening.
Great, thanks.
Thanks for taking my call. Crazy as it sounds, Sheila, it's the first time I'm getting to hear about you, so I'm looking forward to see what you have to offer. I'll have to say my mind's a little blown away with the show from last night. With the giants and the Nephilim. And so it kind of leads into my question. Seems like so many things are ramping up. I kind of feel like maybe we're much further along than what anybody thinks. And so I'm wondering, with some of their agendas, could it tie into the return of the Nephilim? Are they trying to do things to the planet to make it more conducive for them?
I think that's a really good question, and I think the short answer is yes. Because I think all of this, again, Satan's job description is to kill, steal, destroy, he counterfeits everything. So I absolutely believe that these Luciferians, certainly that are involved in this green agenda, are all the same players. They're all the same players that you're talking about who are trying to, look what's going on at CERN. Are they trying to pierce the veil over there so that we can, they can unleash a storm of entities? I don't believe they're trying to recreate the Big Bang. I think there's very nefarious things going on by very devilish people that are plugged into Satan's pipeline. And we're going to start seeing some, you think things are getting crazy now, just wait till the, giants start returning upon the land and then see if people won't snap out of their dystopic trance.
Absolutely. And that's actually kind of what's really got my brain kind of messed up. Before I found Christ, I was really captivated by the Mayans. My wife and I, whose name is Sheila, by the way, actually went down to the Riviera on our anniversary to see the Mayan ruins. I mean, it was quite incredible. But knowing what I've kind of learned about them, I understand that they worshipped Ra or some type of sun worship.
The Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas were very, very, very occult form of bloody paganism, and they were definitely into sun worship as well.
So their calendar, as some people will know, it was based on a 5,125-year cycle. I saw this on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, but if you take 5,125 days from September 11th, 2001, that comes to September 23rd, 2015, which is when the Pope is to arrive.
Wow.
So I'm wondering if there's a spiritual connection there.
Well, I definitely know September 23rd, the day that he's arriving, definitely has some spiritual implications for sure. I know that the Luciferians, these Satanists, they definitely hail that day as a particularly special day. I know, again, Doc Marquis talks about that time of the year, but this is a particularly interesting date this year when you break it down in numerology. So very interesting correlation, absolutely. But, I don't know if I give a lot of stock to the Mayan calendar. As far as I'm concerned, you've got a lot of entities out there trying to confuse the masses as well. I don't put a lot of stock into anything that came out of the Aztecs, the Incans, the Mayans, or any of this false angel technology. So, but anyway, that's my comments on that part.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for taking my call, and God bless you guys. You're doing great.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks.
All right.
Now, folks, Sheila, a wide range of topics, very articulate, very knowledgeable. I mean, how impressive is that? You've got to tune into her show. I'm telling you, what a great show she's got. 6 p.m. Eastern, and Weekend Vigilante is her website. Her new book, Green Gospel, greengospel.ca, the website for that. Just fantastic. I can't say enough good about your research and the fruit of your research, which is contained in Green Gospel. So I'm just so excited to read this.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that, and thank you guys for letting me come on and share my book and with your amazing audience. And I miss you guys, and hopefully we can do this more often. And certainly, I look forward to having you guys on the show again soon. And again, kudos to your audience. They're probably the best audience in the world. I think we have combined the best audience. So just a big shout out to your audience tonight. And hopefully they'll get the book.
Absolutely. I highly recommend it. Sheila,
and we'll make sure we get those three callers' information to you, so they can receive their free copy of the book. And we want to thank you again for your generosity of doing this, because so often we have people bringing books on here, and it's nice to see some giving away, especially autographed copies.
Absolutely. It's a collector's item now. It will be.
Well, yeah, it's nice to get it in the hands of people. So, again, I thank you for your time tonight, guys. And, again, it just was such a blessing to come on. It's such a joy to be with you guys again.
Thank you for your patience with all the interesting anomalies that we had on the boards, across the boards. And we're still getting reports, Sheila, for you to check your website out. There's still some potential issues there, just as an FYI. So, yeah. Go figure, right?
Well, in the meantime, go to greengospel.ca. At least check that one out tonight. And I don't know when the website's going to be up and running. Like I said, it got hit this week, and I've been having nothing but problems. Ever since the book day actually launched, it's been having issues. So I guess I've kind of ticked off the enemy, right?
Yeah. Oh, wait, there's Al Gore, line 2 for you. No, I'm just kidding. But God bless you, kiddo. Thank you so much thank you for your patience. Thank you for your time, and thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you, Doug, and also it's reciprocated too. Likewise to you guys, and God bless.
God bless you too, Sheila. Thanks. We're going to take our commercial break now, gentlemen, to hour number 3 in this Wednesday edition of the Hagmann Hagmann Report. Today is July 15th, 2015, kicking off Jade Helm as they are today. Today's been the planned day for the kickoff of Jade Helm, even though many states and other reports have indicated that their mission or training has been ongoing now for weeks, if not months. So didn't expect anything today that would be, earth-shattering in the realm of Jade Helm.
Right. Now, the one caller did mention about power outages.
Yeah.
And you can find on the internet right now various, and we've been monitoring this today. I just don't want to take up Sheila's time with this, but you've got multiple outages. You've got power, you've got communications, but it extends far beyond the area of Jade Helm, the 7, 8 state, 10, 12, depending on how you want to look at it. You've got multiple power outages, multiple outages of internet, cable, stretching really from New York into Wisconsin, across into in the Pacific Northwest, and then down into the mid-California area, and of course Texas, parts of Texas, including Houston. Now, I think what we have to do, I really believe this, I believe that we've got to look at this not as you can't look at these power outages today or communication outages. This is my view. As you just can't take a map and look at it and say, well, gee, man, this is really strange. I think you've got to look at it like a snapshot in time. This is how I would do it. For example, when you take away perhaps any weather events, any contributing factors that would be flooding, for example, it does cause problems with both power and communications, or storms, whatever. Remove that, and then look at this as a snapshot in time, not just a single event. Then look for anomalous type of activity. Do we see any? Well, yeah, I suppose an argument could be made with respect to the communications, significantly the communications in the Southern California area. That's kind of spotty. That is my take on this. Beyond that, I think that we have to just all step back, take a deep breath. Let's take a look at this. I mean, I do believe, and Joe, chime in on this. I mean, you've been following this too. So, am I wrong to look at this in that fashion? Because I think anything else would be a little bit more presumptuous.
No, you're not wrong to look at it like that at all. One thing I've noticed here in Pennsylvania is internet seems to be running so slow in certain parts of the day, and I'll run speed tests, and we have 50 download and 5 upload, 50 megabytes download, 5 megabytes upload, and the internet's running super slow, yet the speed test shows that it's fine. So I don't know what to make of that, but there is some weird things going on in regard to the internet, to communications. And I'm checking right now, and on the solar aspect, maybe there's solar flares or CMEs, and no, I
was talking to Dave Hodges the other day. I think 2 days ago he
called just before the show. You were taking the dog for a walk.
Yeah, our studio dog.
Just want to let you know.
Got to bring her to the studio all the time. What a wonderful joy she is. Anyway, that's the only problem. I missed calls. Did you talk to him?
No.
Hang on, folks. We're going to talk among ourselves.
Only 10 minutes before the show. I didn't have time to talk.
All right. Having said that, I spoke to Dave a couple of days ago. He's on vacation right now, but we were talking about the unusual activity. Look, he's noticed it there, and there's certain things that cannot be denied, even when there's photographs. And he's done. He got a whole bunch of photographs from listeners who sent them in and saying, look, this is unusual. You've got trucks taking shelving out of Walmart. Now, is that unusual by itself? Of course not. But in the context in which they present the information. For example, working on plumbing, got to take all the shelving out. Does that make sense? Once more, we have to use our intellects, not in an overstating hyperbolic way, but let's look at this in a very measured way, okay? To assess what's really going on. Otherwise, people will, regardless, people are going to marginalize and vilify and what have you, the messenger. But I think what we're seeing right now is definitely qualifies for unusual activity. I have no doubt in my mind, and I have no doubt in my mind that we're being lied to about what's really taking place, whether it's Walmart or the down the road military base, whatever, or the various NGOs that are involved in Jade Helm, the scope of Jade Helm. The mere magnitude of Jade Helm has not been fully disclosed, and I think that's perhaps one of the sleeper items here that we have to pay attention to. You've got a lot of compartmentalization. In fact, I would say this out of the gate. I would bet you that when you look at some of the NGOs, some of the military support, or the support corporations and companies for the military-industrial complex, they're involved in some aspect of the Jade Helm exercises, but don't even know that that's what they're doing, and that's by design. And it's very easy to compartmentalize the activities like that. So, bottom line here, just keep your eyes open and watch what's taking place, because the thing that we cannot do is really lose our grasp on the. It's serious, obviously. The Third Amendment, the runt piglet of our Constitution, as some point out, by quartering troops, perhaps it might extend into this operation. Yet no one's talking about that. The fact that we're okay with having our military practice on our soil, that in and of itself, that by itself should be a problem for people who adhere to the Constitution. Yet, that's one of the issues that's really not discussed by the so-called top radio personalities and talking heads and the corporate media. Why not? Why is this being? Why, for example, Jed Helm by Fox News? Why do they shy away from really talking about, military troops practicing on American soil? Never intended outside military bases. Not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to have military troops, parachuting into Los Angeles. Okay, it's not supposed to. And I'm not saying that's what's happening right now, but we're not supposed to have that. But yet no one's talking about it. One more thing before I turn it over to Joe. I just want to mention this. I'm going to thank a couple of people who had emailed me. I can't say too much about this right now. Later in the week I will. A couple of people, we received a couple of emails about, what's a Christian-based company or radio program doing, endorsing a product that supports a homosexual agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was brought to our attention.
Right. And we're not going to name the company or anything like that, but and thank you for bringing it to our attention. Frankly, I somehow missed that.
And I think it was a startup that, really got the ball rolling. Yeah,
well, anyway, bottom line is this. we do put our money where our mouth is. We are going to break in our breaking of that contract. I just want to say thank you so much. I will not support, endorse, or otherwise promote any person, entity, or anything that promotes immorality, promotes the redefinition of God's covenants. I'm not going to do that. And you know what?
It might cost us money temporarily, but who cares?
So what? You know, that's the thing. We have to. If I'm not saying now this, I'm not talking about ourselves now. But if everyone did that, if everyone just put their money where their mouth is and said, you know, for example, let's say Nike. I don't know. You know, I'm just throwing this out there. Let's say Nike is a big proponent of, or XYZ company. They're a big proponent of homosexual marriage. Well, then you don't shop at, purchase products from XYZ company. Simple as, and you let them know why. That's the other important part of it. That you let them know why. We're not going to shop at your place. We're not going to, because what do you think the opposition is doing? They're doing the same thing, except they're organized and they're heavily funded. No. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So thank you to the listeners who pointed that out to me, and my apologies for not catching it myself. So
yeah, very well. Here's an article that is pretty important. Gas and petrol bombs. Clashes mar massive Greek protest against bailout deal. Clashes have erupted outside the parliament in the Greek capital. Police have deployed pepper spray and tear gas against protesters, hurling Molotov cocktails and rocks during anti-austerity rally attended by thousands. Riot police used pepper spray and tear gas to suppress a large crowd of people who began hurling Molotov cocktails and rocks at police officers earlier. Police estimated the number of the anti-austerity protesters to be about 12,500 people. The clashes broke out as the Greek parliament began to debate an austerity bill requiring consumer tax increases and pension reforms. Well, this all has to do with the Greek default and crisis. A journalist was shot in the leg during the scuffles. Some 50 protesters have been detained, according to the AP. 4 police officers are hurt. They are protesting against a new bailout deal with the European creditors, which, if passed, will lead to serious reforms bearing heavily on the Greek economy. And Greece is already suffering from a 25% unemployment rate.
Just as we are. You know, when Ross Powell was on yesterday, when he was talking, he said something, you know, about the Greek tragedy. Oh, isn't that true? Plus the only cooks and the stupid work. That's the Greek saying, only cooks and the stupid work. The unemployment rate that you just mentioned, and everything taking place in Greece, the government, the hubris of the government officials. Hey, we're seeing that here. To me, this is coming here. Obviously, China is a bigger issue, I suspect, in the larger global economic sense. But with respect to what's taking place in Greece, got to tell you, I think we're looking at our future.
Yeah, they're going to cut, depositors' money in the banks, plus take away money from people's pensions to pay back interest to international banking corporations. I would be throwing Molotov cocktails in the street also. I mean, it's crazy. It's not like they're getting these bailouts to pay back the people that, they took money from to begin with when the first austerity package went through. They're paying back international bankers and other European Union nations.
Yeah.
Nothing is being done to help the people of Greece.
Exactly. Let's keep our eye on that. When I mentioned about the Iranian deal, of course, I
have so much to say on that.
Well, one of the things that I'm not sure how many people are really watching this, but remember 2 years ago, Benghazi, for example, what was that all about?
What was that?
Yeah. Hey, what difference does it make, right? Well, with Benghazi, really it was all about arms running and training of terrorists the focus, of course, was Syria. Now, with Iran, you've got to take a look at two things, in my view, that are not being talked about. You've got to look at where Syria falls into this, because remember the prophetic, the prophecy about Damascus, but also remember the objectives by Obama, by Jared, by this regime, as well as the cabal of intelligence agencies attempting to topple Assad. Well, this is really still at the forefront of everything we're seeing, of course. Syria's future is really in question. The flow of fighters, the flow of weapons, the flow of money that has been fueling this engineered, orchestrated war in Syria is only going to worsen. And this is going to be a direct result of this pact with Iran. The other aspect of this Iranian deal that no one seems to be touching on or talking about, at least I haven't heard, is the emergence of proxies, Iranian proxy groups. Just, for example, Hezbollah. In the years since Iran founded the Lebanon-based terrorist group, you've got to take a look at their sophistication, how they've expanded their abilities. And that's really important to really take a look at, because what you're going to see is Iran emboldened and able now because of the money. You see, money fuels everything. It fuels wars and it fuels proxy wars. And enter Hezbollah. They're going to be really able now to funnel more money into Hezbollah and increase their capabilities as a paramilitary organization. The only thing holding Hezbollah back really was the financial part, and now that wall has been lifted, you're going to see this increase in proxies, including but not limited to, and especially Hezbollah, as they take their as it relates to Israel. And I'll tell you something, it's going to get dramatically worse. So the immediate result, you're going to see the various groups like Hezbollah begin to become more refined, more well-equipped, more heavily funded, and more aggressive. So if you thought 1,000 rockets into Tel Aviv and southern Israel or northern Israel, depending on which group you're talking about, if you thought that was bad, just wait. It's only going to worsen. And this is an intended, orchestrated blowback from this Iranian deal. I just wanted to point those two things out, and that's really big time. Joe, go ahead.
President Obama defended his newly struck Iran deal Wednesday, lecturing critics in Congress in the Middle East that the agreement is the only way to avoid another war. The president also acknowledged with 18 months left in office, he is seeking to hand off to his successor thorny problems such as the Islamic State's Syria civil war and Israeli-Palestinian tensions rather than trying to resolve them himself. It's not the job of the president to solve every problem in the Middle East, Mr. Obama said at the White House press conference. Most people in the Middle East are going to have to solve the problems on their own. But I think we can provide the next president at least a foundation for continued progress.
The folks, did you see with what Joe said, it suggests the passing off not just of the legacy, but of the issues, the problems, the collateral damage caused by this.
I mean, they got what they wanted in agenda-wise, the TPP, homosexual agenda, all those scandals that they, NDAA and all the other things that they've been involved in. So now it's just, might as well take the last couple moments of the White House and use it for vacation. I mean.
Well, what I think they're going to do, and I was talking with somebody that's pretty close to the Washington power structure. they are working overtime. I mean, they're really putting the pedal to the metal, and you're going to see before this guy leaves the White House, if he leaves the White House. And I say that, hey, you just never know. But before he leaves the White House, he's got a lot of unfinished business to take care of, furthering the divide between the haves and the have-nots, the racial division, and also, if you've noticed, folks, pay very close attention when these articles, for example, if you go on the Drudge Report, well, let's say you're a frequent visitor Drudge, and then you click on one of the links that takes you to an article. Let's say Breitbart, for example. If you look at the comment section of each article, pay very close attention to the tenor that's embedded within the comments by the commenters. You can pick that, you can select comments that I truly believe are being done by these cyber warriors, Obama cyber warriors.
Oh yeah.
But have you noticed the lack of civility and the?
Oh yes.
Man,
this is what I said when I was referencing the hate.
Yes.
Aspect that we see increasing, the anger that we see increasing. This is what I was referring to. Whether it's real, which I believe a lot of it is, or whether it is being propagated by the Obamanista, the internet Obamanista, is I bet it's both equally responsible.
Yeah, exactly, and I can just imagine.
Race baiting, provoking, name calling, derogatory, slanderous, accusations and schoolyard antics, really.
And that's the other thing too. I spent a lot of time attempting to identify posters, and it's amazing to me that a lot of posters, for example, if you use Discus or however you pronounce that, DISCUS, you can see the profile of posters posting comments, and a lot of them go to almost robotic kind of profiles. And if you look at their posting history, oh man, I mean, you could just tell that there's an agenda to start conflict, and I mean. The one Breitbart article or that had the comments, if these people were face to face, I could see fights breaking out. I mean, it's that bad. So be very wary of being drawn into a fight, a conflict like that.
Mm-hmm. In other news here, let's see, what did I have lined up next?
We only had about 17 inches worth of paper for tonight.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me mention this. Remember when Sheila, we were just talking about those squiggly light bulbs?
Mm-hmm.
American Survival Wholesale has got they sell the regular light bulbs. The normal light bulbs. Okay. Good deals, good package deals on the normal light bulbs. The reason I bring this up is because I got another email here moments ago saying, hey, in my town, I can't find, in California resident, I can't find regular light bulbs. Okay, so American Survival Wholesale, great prices on light bulbs. Unscheduled, but I thought I'd mention that because, thought I'd mention that. Go ahead, sir.
Let's go back to the phones. We have a number of callers. And let's take some callers now and hear what you guys have to say on anything that we talked about, didn't talk about. 208 area code. We're coming to you, 208. You are live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Hello, my name is Cindy. I'm a first-time caller. And God bless you all. When the phone was ringing earlier, that was my phone ringing through the program, and I don't know how. So I thought I was off the queue. So I was shocked when you guys said 208 because I don't have my thoughts together anymore. Anyways, one thing that I never hear that's just the most basic of basics in talking about, Mother Earth and all that if we, they talk about to
carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide being
brother.
bad for the earth. Carbon dioxide is, we exhale it. That's what the plants and trees use, and they release oxygen for us. If we get rid of the people, the plants and trees will die.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
And it's the most basic thought that nobody ever seems to say.
Well, because it would be too logical. Yeah, and this is one thing that really drives me out of my mind when we talk about the various agendas at play here, and specifically the environmentalists, the activists, environmental activists. Logic and reason just goes out the window.
That's for sure.
Man, yeah, exactly. So, it just amazes me, and I guess I shouldn't be amazed, but it amazes me how we as Americans and we in the West fall for these specious arguments that
nobody thinks anymore.
No, they don't. You're right.
They don't read. They just turn on the TV and space out with all their free time. They don't sit at the table and have family meals. I'm used to growing up that way. When we had children, it was always that way.
Need to get back to
these days, most families don't even have a single meal in a week together.
That's right. You're exactly correct. And we've gone so far away. And even when people do, and this bothers me, I told, Joe can verify this. If we are having like a meeting, for example, or if we're even if we go out for coffee and we're sitting together at a table, if you bring out your cell phone and start texting, boy, okay, you better have a doctor on call, specifically a surgeon, because that's going to be absurd. Okay. Anyway, yeah, but we don't talk.
I'll agree with you there.
What's you've got to text and it just drives me crazy, which is why I do not have a cell phone except when I travel, and that's only an emergency thing, But
we live in the mountains; we can't even get service, so our cell phones are only when we travel.
Exactly. So yeah, man. Well, very good. So we're on the same page with respect to things, and you're right. I mean, with respect to the Green Gospel, Sheila's book, and the
Green Gobbler.
Green Gobbler, yeah. Logic and science really goes out the window, and it's amazing how they distort facts. And that was a thing that we didn't get into. Sheila's book talks about how, for example, the lies that are behind, what is it? The facts, Joe. The
Green Agenda.
Yeah. Well, no. The
scientific data.
Right. They doctor the various computer models, like hockey stick computer model.
We recently reported on a story where the 15-year global warming hiatus that couldn't be proven by the scientific numbers, scientists had to go back and doctor the temperatures by rounding up temperatures that were lower and rounding down temperatures to a colder level where they needed them, so that they could actually prove there was a differentiation in temperatures when there was not.
Yeah.
When I was going to the university and taking statistics and things, you could make numbers say anything you want them to.
Yeah, and especially with temperatures, it does not take much doctoring to prove a degree or two difference, because there's so little manipulation that needs to be done in order to change numbers, especially over a long period of time, incrementally using rounding techniques.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to just say thank you for your call.
Thank you for taking it, and God bless you all. And, my husband, asked for some bumper stickers, and we got a good supply of them, and he wanted me to thank you very much for them.
Oh, no problem at all. God bless you. Thanks for your interest in that. And yes, folks, boy, I'm going to get in trouble here. I'm going to get spanked by some people I know that have not got them yet, but they're on the list. and I do personally. I send them out personally with a little note of thanks. But so that's the hold up if you haven't got them yet. But yeah, give them out free. And
yeah, he got them, and they're everywhere.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
So,
all right.
Yeah. Well, God bless. Have a nice evening.
You too. Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to area code 303.
303.
If I can...
hey, you got that number backwards. It's 303.
I thought it was 303.
It's 303.
If I can get this board to work. 303 or 303. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report. Hello?
Hello. Hey, we're going to take your number and call you back.
At midnight.
When the show's over.
We'll come back to you.
Yeah, that's
262. We're going to go to 262. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Fantastic. Did you just say 262?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you did.
Another backwards number. All right.
No, it's right this way, but I'm sorry if it's wrong on your end. Anyway, I was just calling to give you a little bit of information that I've had. Number one, the prison break in upstate New York, them saying and laying out on a table and showing pictures of Cuomo standing next to this cut pipe, and they had what on the table? Hacksaws. Well, number one, the hacksaws that they had on the table, they weren't missing paint. You get the paint off of those if you're cutting through a pipe like the pipe that they showed. Two, the cuts, they're too clean. You could never make a cut on a pipe that thick, which I would say is probably within about a quarter inch, maybe half inch thick. You couldn't do that with said hacksaws not missing any paint. You'd have to do that with at least a cutting wheel and a air-powered die grinder.
Or a sawzall.
Well, I'm not even sure that would work.
Well, I've cut radiators out of buildings with sawzalls.
What was that?
I've cut radiators out of old radiators out of buildings with sawzalls.
But this caller is saying it wouldn't have been a clean cut, though.
You look at the cut.
Yeah.
If you look at that cut, and this is why, because I've worked around pipe fitters that do the pipes for turbine-powered generators with hydrogen coolant. And you don't get a cut that clean unless you either have a die grinder or a cutting torch. And that pipe that they had there, it was thick enough to have to be, if you're going to do anything with it, you've got to have that. I can get cutting radiators out, but look at the piping size of the radiators next to the piping size of the sewer pipe that they allegedly did the Shawshank thing and climbed out through. You're not going to get a cut that clean with, what they showed.
And I agree with you on that. That was one of the things that I wanted to. I'm glad you called because I want to follow up on this. It didn't seem right, And isn't it interesting that the media will accept? You can look at it, and like you did, you looked at the evidence presented. It's just not right, but yet no one asks any questions.
But then, unfortunately, that brings me to my second point, which is if you look at the footage of the people who were out looking for this guy, state police, sheriffs, local police, they brought in DEA, they brought in U.S. Marshals. But when I'm looking at these guys, they had the Department of Correction guys all outfitted with most likely, quarter-inch thick half-inch thick chest rigs, but no weapons. You have the state police up there with their vests on, shotguns, automatic weapons, service pistol, okay, fine. Then you've got guys that are running through the woods on these four-wheel ATVs, and they're the most kitted up of all, meaning they had chest rigs, they had automatic weapons, and the rigs on their chest rigs, they were full with multiple M4 rounds, whatever weapon they happen to be using, which seemed to me, from what I've seen, to be M4 automatics. These guys, though, could have come from anywhere. They could be anything, and they're kitted up. And the fact that these guys, you know, they basically bumbled around, but what happened? Well, they locked down a series of towns and cities. And unfortunately, this whole thing to me screams Jade Helm in effect before what they announced. In other words, that was Jade Helm that you saw go on up in upstate New York. And they're not that far from me. And I know the terrain in the area. And I know, yes, there are people up there. They would have to catch these guys before these guys went on anybody's property. Let's put it that way. Okay? Otherwise, they'd have been going out feet first, you know, in a hearse. Right. But that screams Jade Helm. And as well, you've got this breakout in Mexico. Now you've got an international Jade Helm scenario. You know, it screams it to me with everything, all the nuances, all the media coverage and how the media coverage was laid out. Okay, it just screams Jade Helm. If Martians landed tomorrow, that prison break, that's what it would look like, at least. Except it wouldn't be people breaking out of prison. It'd be them trying to keep people away from whatever it is they thought they saw landed or whatever. The third thing is I've listened to you guys with Stan Dale and various other people. I was in Puerto Rico in 2012, about late September 2012. And I got to go to the Arecibo satellite telescope deal they got down there, right?
Okay.
So I asked one of the guys there, I said, so are you guys looking at the same thing with this big radio telescope that the Vatican's been looking at? And he said, yes, in deadpan fashion, yes, except we can see it better with this new telescope that we've just built up here. And he pointed to a new observatory-type telescope on a new road, and everything about it was just everything new. And he wasn't joking. He was serious.
Did you press him for more? Yeah, I mean, did you leave it at that, or did you press him for more information?
I basically left it at that because my figuring was, well, if this is real, you'll laugh and tell me no. Or if it's not real, you'll laugh and tell me no. This dude didn't have a break in his sentence. He was like, yeah, but we're looking at it with this thing over there we just built.
Interesting.
You know, and as well, it's like, well, why would you point me to something new you just built that you're saying you can see better with if there wasn't anything to see at all? So, yeah, there's something coming. And as well, I would have to say on that subject, too, there was a bit of film on YouTube around 2006, 2007. And in the corner, it was labeled NSD-42, which, when I looked it up, it stands for National Security Directive 42. It was taken by one of the two NRO satellites. They have, and they've released two more since then, but at the time, they were the only polar pole-to-pole task-orbited satellites. So in other words, they only had 2 satellites that were going from the North Pole to the South Pole, while everything went across the equator and, you know, up and down, forth, whatever. They've since launched 2 more. And that footage, though, was taken down within months.
Did you have the capture? Did you download the video at all, or did you just?
I couldn't, man. Look, I'm internet stupid, Ben. okay, so I didn't have things like save the page, what have you. I didn't have that on my browser, and I probably wouldn't have known how to use it, you know, if they'd said I did.
Right.
I didn't, but I could tell you right now, I watched it multiple times. It's no joke. There's something out there.
Interesting.
And as well, got all this stuff where Google Sky has all of a sudden uncloaked a bit of sky that they covered up. I mean, there's something out there. Like I said, I just want to give you guys a heads up, let you know, because I've been listening to you for a while, and I know maybe you want to have first-time callers, and I'm going to blow off this phone in a second because I don't want to take anybody's time up, but
well,
that's
appreciate
what
the
I
information.
For you.
All right. Wow. A great call on all topics. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm the same guy that told you that about MH370, where it is.
Oh, yes.
If
okay. I remember.
Oh. Good times to you both. Tell the puppy I said hi. Kiss him live. And you guys have a good one. I'll call again soon.
All right.
All right.
Bye. Have a good day.
Joe, about the prison break, you know, that just so folks, for context, what the caller was referring to was the prison break that took place June 6th, 2015. Richard Matt, David Sweat, Clinton Correctional Facility. Now, we've worked up in Dannemora, New York, in Clinton County.
They ended up being Cotton Monroe, New York, where we spent a considerable amount of time.
No, Malone.
Malone. I don't know why I keep saying Monroe.
Yeah, Malone, which, and it's very rural up there, but it's interesting because he had mentioned Shawshank Redemption, and right after the prison break, in quotation marks, the media was comparing this to the Shawshank Redemption.
Which was about an innocent man who went to jail.
Right. The film was from 1940, or the film began. It showed the time like it began in 1947. The film created recently, the Shawshank Redemption. Recently, I mean the 90s or 2000s, whatever. But it dealt with a time period of 1947 forward. It spanned several decades, and in the Shawshank Redemption, Andy goes to prison after he's convicted of murdering his wife and her lover. He in turn makes friends with another inmate named Red, who's serving a life sentence. You don't need to know the plot, but the parallels, very interesting. And we should look, you know how life imitates art, it is said. Sometimes maybe that's planned that way. But I found it very interesting what that caller said about the tools and the pipe. Very interesting about that, because you know you would have some evidence of wear on the saw, if the saw could even break through the piping that was shown. But you know, you could show this, and media was showing this. Never a question raised about, hey, you know, that's awful clean. That cut is awful clean, as well as the saw, both clean. What's going on? Kind of like the certificate of live birth for Obama. Hey, look at these anomalies. And they just accept it as being okay.
No, you're right. Let's go to area code. Take one more call. I don't believe we took this call yet. 205. Where'd it go? 205. We're coming to you. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann report.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
We can, yes.
Oh, okay, great. Good to talk to you guys. I really enjoy the show. Called in a few times, and just want to say I appreciate what y'all do. We're lifting the Lord up on this program. That's awesome. We just keep doing that. I just wanted to point out, you're talking about the Iran deal.
Yep.
And I was watching Paul Bagley. I caught one of his little short videos this morning. He was talking about, I can't remember that general's name, that high-ranking Iranian general. Y'all may know the guy I'm talking about. But the part of the deal is he's like on the top-ranked terrorist on the terror list. Well, part of the deal was he gets off of the terror list, and all of his assets has been frozen around the world that he has are unfrozen. So he's basically let off the hook. Have y'all heard that?
No, not about the assets being unfrozen. No.
Well,
yes. You can check it. Well, I just got it from Pastor Bagley's video. I don't know where he got that from, but I didn't know if y'all might have heard that or heard that on the media somewhere.
Yet, the Americans, the Westerners held in Iranian prisons remain. I mean, this is a one-sided deal. And we've got to ask ourselves, too, what role has Valerie Jarrett's Iranian stock, what role did she play in this? There's something tremendously wrong here when people look at Obama and the people around him. It's not just Obama, but people around him, and then the acquiescence of Congress, the very body that should be putting pressure on Obama, and they would have to approve these deals, obviously, these agreements, these treaties, these whatever you want to call them. Yet they've ceded their ability to really make it veto-proof, so to speak. In other words, they've shot themselves in the foot intentionally. They've hobbled themselves, Congress, that is, in the wake of all these. So yeah, we've got to question what's going on, why, and why is there why are the lawmakers ceding authority? Why is the Congress ceding authority when it's unnecessary? And certainly when we need them the most. And this is all to usher in this new world order. And Bill Salas, Psalm 83. Are we seeing this confederation being built? When you talk about Israel and the Saudis being on the same side, you got to ask yourself some pretty difficult questions. Are we seeing the formation now of a new alliance that's going to usher in the Psalm 83 war?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that, Doug, completely. I haven't quite finished. I've been reading that book by Bill Salas. As a matter of fact, it's a good book. And I agree with that completely. I see the federation that they're talking about is coming against them, absolutely. And I say this in my own opinion. This is not the opinion of Hagmann Hagmann, the things that the Vatican is doing, and I'll say it. The Vatican is just really doing some things that are, what I would say, turning its back. Us and a lot of other people turning our backs on Israel and really just putting the knife to them. And I can believe it because it's that time for that, but it troubles my heart. So I pray for Israel and the people over there constantly. We all need to be doing that.
Amen to that. Mm-hmm. Yep. And there are a lot of people out there, callers, since we're on the subject of Israel, a lot of people out there saying, well, it's about time that Israel is on their own. And they confuse and mix up the Zionist movement, we'll say, the political Zionist movement. They equate that with the Israel of God and the Bible, okay? They're two separate issues, two separate things, and we have to nip at the bud the anti-Semitic stance that's being taken. And look, I understand. I get the fact about Zionism, but this has gone too far the other way, and I think we're really asking for a lot of trouble when we're not backing backing Israel in this.
Absolutely. God made it pretty clear to Abraham he was going to bless those who blessed him and curse those who cursed him. And we're already under judgment. We're already under that curse, I believe. And the things that, like, I listened to last night's show, man, it was just an awesome show. And but this country, we're under judgment now, but we haven't seen nothing yet. There's more coming, way more coming. So we need to be praying. Okay. We need to be praying for our nation. We need to be praying for the peace of Jerusalem. And I just, you see so many things going on. It's disheartening, but it's kind of like me and my sister was talking about it. She's like, well, these things have got to happen. These things have got to happen. So, he says, let's look up for our redemption draws nigh. These things are going to have to come to pass, so we have to look up. But so we need to be trying to get the word out, and to those that are lost and don't know the Lord, we got to get it out. We got to get it out and be screaming it from the pulpits, and to the people that time is so short. I was in prayer just a few weeks ago. I was telling a good close friend of mine, I drive a truck at night, and we run together, and I was in my quiet time, and the Lord just spoke to my spirit. Guys, he said 3 times, time short, time short, time short. I heard it. Bam, bam, bam. And I believe that very much with my heart.
Yeah, indeed it is, and we need to take note of that and get our spiritual houses in order, get right, get our heads screwed on straight. And we need to really be paying very close attention to everything that's going on and keep our ear close to the ground and stay in prayer and really stay close to God. Yeah, absolutely.
Amen. Right. Well, guys, I know we're getting close to the end. I know you want to wrap up, so I just want to say thank you for the good job you guys are doing. Like I said, we'll just keep lifting the Lord up and getting the word out, and praise God for y'all, and y'all guys have a great night.
Thank you, brother. Take care, man.
You have a great night too, sir.
Bye-bye, guys.
Before we wrap up the program, folks, if I could just draw your attention to our webpage, HagmannHagmann.com. Folks, if you could do me a favor and just take notice of our new YouTube channel.
The official Hagmann and Hagmann report. It's on YouTube. I posted a link there on Facebook just today promoting it. It is something that is being worked on very diligently by
JD. Okay,
yeah, JD's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And we want to populate it as best we can. There are other imposter YouTube channels out there that carry our name and put our episodes out there.
And apparently make money doing it. So, it's okay.
We just want the people to understand that you'll see our real channel has pictures of me and my dad on the logo where the dog used to be. One of the logos was changed, but it's the official Hagmann and Hagmann report. Sign up, subscribe, and check it daily because we're going to be putting content up there. Also, Paul McGuire's prayer meeting is coming up. Go to paulmcguire.us to register if you want to attend that prayer meeting. He'll be on the show Friday, but I promise to, and we promise to promote it every day this week, so people will go.
And let me tell you, if you're within even a day's drive, the prayer meetings are so vital, especially now. And if you don't have a church, or even if you do, it's free. And just being with other like-minded people, and Paul McGuire is just a fantastic speaker, orator, scriptorian. He's just you will not experience anything like that. Paul McGuire on Friday. Tomorrow night, Charles Strange is going to be with us. Extortion 17 lost his son in Extortion 17.
It's been a while since he was on.
Yeah, and
he's made some excellent claims and reports since the last time we've spoken to him. Charles Strange, whose son died as a Navy SEAL in SEAL Team 6. He's going to be our guest. It's going to be a fantastic show.
Amen. All right, folks. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. In the meantime, just stay safe. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so very much for your belief and trust in us as we walk through this minefield together. Until tomorrow. Good night.